All right, you guys ready to get rolling here?
Let's do it.
All right. Hello and welcome to the Movie Marathon Podcast, a place where we watch movies and then we talk about them. My name's Gabe, your host for today, and I'm here with my co-hosts, Mr. Dixon, and our two special guests, the Merget brothers, Phil and Andrew. And we are here to talk about Scream, but not only Scream from 1996, but Scream, Scream 1, Scream 2, Scream 3, Scream 4, Scream, Scream 6, and Scream 7 just released. So usually we like to do this episode, movie by episode, and break it down deep, but we're going to do things a little different today. We're going to just rank them, and we're going to be a little more easy, a little more rapid fire. But before we get into our rankings, we like to talk about our experiences with these movies and how we remember them. So I'm going to go a little reverse today because I do happen to know, I have a little preview about Dixon, how he remembers the movies. So first, I'm actually going to toss to Phil. Phil, are you a Scream fan? And what are your memories with these movies?
Yes. I mean, how could I not be a Scream fan, right? I'm on the podcast. Yeah, so I definitely have vivid memories of movies. I would definitely the earlier Nev Campbell's. Well, I remember watching them with Andrew and things like that. Blockbuster and things like that when I was a kid. Really got into it a little more when I was older. And by the time Scream 4, 5, 6, 7, all those later ones came out, I was hooked. Basically, trying to see them in the theater for not saw all those in theaters. So attach to all those and blockbuster memories for the earlier trilogy for sure.
Do you have like a first memory of Ghostface or like seeing Scream 1?
I can't. I would lie. I'm like, oh, I remember where I was in this kill and stuff like that. I do not, but I can tell you my one of my earliest memories of Ghostface is when I was a kid. They had these masks, and I'm sure you guys probably know what I'm talking about already. Where you had like a heart and you could pump it, and that would
Yes.
like fill up the Ghostface mask, and then the Ghostface mask would drain down blood. And I remember being like maybe 4th, 5th grade, and kids had those, and that was kind of cool. So that was kind of one of my early interests, like entry to like, who's this guy? What kind of mask is this? Because I knew some of the other icons and things like that, and that kind of got me more excited to who is Ghostface for sure.
Phil,
Yeah,
I completely forgot that was such a core Halloween memory, seeing kids with those blood masks. Like, because there was people that just had the regular Ghostface mask and then the ones that had the bloody ones. And it was like, that's so cool to see that.
and the blood
I
knife
completely
too. The
forgot
blood
those
knife.
existed. That's amazing.
There was like years where
Yeah.
there
Oh,
were just
yeah.
so many Ghostfaces
They even had like
just
glow in the
running
dark
around.
ones and like devil ones, I think, down the line.
So good.
And Andrew, since you're just a little older than us too, you probably have a little more memory of it. What are your memories with Scream? Obviously, just judging by your background, we know you're a major fan. So, what do you got for us?
Yeah, so my first memory of Ghostface, I remember exactly. I was older than you guys, being that I'm about to be 40 years old. So I was in 5th grade, a sleepover, and someone just put it on. I didn't know anything about it. Young enough that trailers weren't like going to be seen by me. I was seeing like Jungle Book and, All Dogs Go to Heaven and these weird cartoon movies at the time. So at that time, there's no internet. You're not going to know about it. So someone just put it on. And at that point in my life in 5th grade, I had already seen like Child's Play and I've seen a Friday 13th movie on TV, but this was the first one I saw on like video, that was not like on TV. So, um, I remember not so much like trying to be a kid figuring out, but how the chase sequences. I think as I discussed like these movies, I always think the chase sequences are very memorable in these movies. And then the meta, like the characters telling you that they know that they're in the movie, very unique to this franchise. And I remember Scream 2, I watched at a Cub Scout event where we were supposed to stay up all night, overnight. And we had these VHS tapes we could play on a projector. And we were able to have the parents sleep, and then we like put in Scream 2 at Blockbuster. I rented it, and I just remember being like scary, yeah, at the time. So that was a time where I still thought like movies like that are scary, which I think slasher movies are. Sometimes hard to get that response. So Scream 1 and 2, remember, and then Scream 6, I have a really good memory because I came up to visit Phil for his birthday, and we saw it. So that was the first movie I saw in theaters of the Scream franchise with my brother. So that was cool.
Oh yeah, if we're talking franchise like of Scream, 100%.
Yeah.
That was incredible. We basically binge watched at that time 1 through 5 leading up to that. Um, Ghost Brewery on Long Island made these slasher beers by Ghost. Incredible. So I drank one every one, but since I saw Scream 7 like a 9 a.m. show in the morning, that Saturday morning, right when it came out, um, I'm probably saving it for Scream 8. I don't care. That's probably a little old
Well, it'll come
from
out.
Scream 6. I'll have it in theaters for Scream 8. But definitely definitely was an awesome fun experience. Um, we were drinking these in the theater. It was a lot of fun. Scream 6 for sure. It was a good time. It was one of those movies where like I remember what happened, but it also was like, all right, the next day I was like, I might have to see this movie again to really critically judge it because I had such a good time drinking and with my friends watching the movie. For sure. Yeah, yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
Full circle, I just saw Scream 7 with my kids and family for the first time, so it's really wild. So a little bit age inappropriate for some people, but it's all right.
How did the kids like it?
They love it. Yeah, so as you can see, my house has all this stuff up. Um, they love it. Yeah, they love that stuff. They they don't really go like it's scary. They don't want to watch it like a Conjuring would. They'd be like turn on Insidious. But I think it's a universal thing where it's like they're growing up with this nostalgia for these characters in a different way. Like the Spirit Halloween stores are um like cool, at that age. It's just a different
Mhm.
experience. So I think they understand the iconic nature of the character, and they like, you know, these kind of things. So I'm lucky like that. It was cool to have everybody together.
Yeah,
Very cool.
I definitely think Scream is also like um yeah, I definitely think Scream is also like beyond generational. I think many people can really appreciate it. And it's one of those things where like now like my wife like likes horror movies, doesn't love it. And like now I've seen 5 with her, I've seen 6, seen 7 in theaters. Like it's something that we do. I'm like, hey, I'm seeing Scream opening weekend with her probably until I die, every opening one. So it's I think it's definitely there's connections that you build to each one. And we try to guess while we're in the theater, we try to guess who it is. So
Well,
Scream
that's
6,
that's
like I said, was so much I had so much fun. I don't know. I wasn't really guessing that one.
that's part of it, though, right? It's like Scream, and Andrew got into it, and you mentioned too, Phil. Like, just what you like about it. Like, it's no one really mentioned like so much the horror aspect as much as like the meta and like um kind of everything else, but the horror first we've kind of talked about, and like its iconic standing and Ghostface, and growing up with it and all that. So like, um, it goes a lot to say that this horror series is so subversive and such a presence, where it's on the level of like Michael and Freddy and, probably, I mean, that's probably like the big 3. And even though like Ghostface isn't like one person, it is still like a character, and it is still, his own, her own, whatever in each movie. It has its own feel. So it's, yeah, it's really something. Um, Dixon,
And
what is,
Ghostface, hold on. I was
no,
gonna
yeah,
say a
yeah,
quick
go.
fact that so I did look this up because you guys know I'm a big Freddy fan as well, and that really had an impact on me as a kid. But the Ghostface, according to Google I looked up just like hey, kill count, almost like a home run record, so to see like which slasher has the most kills and things like that. And of course, you have the steroid era guys, the guys who are just invisible and they can wipe out 20 guys in a scene, right? So but Ghostface just passed Freddy. He's now in the 50 kill um, category, 50 kill club, where Freddy's at 48 right now, according to Google AI. Um, so I
Yeah.
know Freddy's obviously doesn't more like slaughter these people like other killers, but it's a pretty big milestone anytime you pass Freddy Krueger in the kill rankings.
Absolutely. That's
That
that's pretty significant.
Well, Freddie has how many movies too? Freddie has 5 movies, or is it
Not
6?
nine. No, I
9?
would count 9. So
Get
I
the
would
fuck
count
out of here.
all s well, yeah, because
Freddy
I
has
would count, all 6, right? So I would count all 6, including, 1 all the way to Freddy's Dead. Okay, then I would count, Wes Craven's New Nightmare 7.
Oh,
I would
right, right,
count I
right,
mean, I
right,
would
right, right,
count
right.
Freddy vs. Jason as 8 as a half and half, and then 9, I would count the, the terrible reboot, you know,
The reboot's
2010,
so
I think it
bad.
was.
Yeah, I
I think I
forgot
saw
for
another
some reason,
pod.
I forgot about, like, every movie out of the
Yeah.
originals. Yeah, and now I mean, it's crazy that Scream has had this resurgence where now we have 3 movies in the past, like, 5 years.
Alright, so go ahead, Dixon. Tell me about your Scream favorite scary movie memories.
So for me, I remember seeing the first one. I don't think it was like I definitely didn't see it in theaters, but I saw it around the time it came out, maybe a little bit, a few years after. Um, and I remember it being like, oh, it was a scary movie. And I remember the twists being like very shocking to me at the time, whenever I saw it, like definitely as a kid. Um, but it was always one of those movies where I was like, I enjoyed it. I watched it. I probably saw it, I don't know, like 6 or 7 times at varying points in my life. But I never continued on and watched the rest of them until we just were talking about doing this podcast, and this was one of the movies that came up. So I've binged 2 up until 7 over the last, like, 2 or 3 weeks, and I absolutely loved this franchise way more than I thought I was going to. I wouldn't say I'm definitely not as I'm nowhere near as big of a horror movie fan as the Mergets are, but I appreciate there's movies here or there that I do really like. I love this franchise. I was so blown away about how much I enjoyed it, how much more I enjoyed it than I was expecting to. And I think for me, the biggest part again was how meta they are. Like that was the thing that
Yeah.
really, really sold me on them and got me way more hooked uh in these movies and more excited. Like I remember I forget which one it was, but I was watching them, and as I'm watching the movies, I was getting more and more excited to go see 7 and to go see it in theaters and have that first theatrical Scream experience. So, yeah, I was surprised and blown away at how much I enjoyed them. So, I'm very glad that this podcast kinda pushed me to watch all these movies and to go see them. So, yeah, excited to talk about it and get everybody's opinions on where they rank.
What in terms of,
Right,
like, what you were
seeing horror movies in theaters are amazing, for sure.
what in terms of, like, what you remember though, Dixon, like, how much do you, like, did you know they were, like, kinda like whodunits, or, like, did you kinda remember them as horror movies?
Um, I don't know. I kinda the thing that I really like took from the first one was the ending scene and kind of the twist of, oh, he was killed, but then he came back and he ended up being the killer. And that was like the big takeaway for me from that movie was that he ends up being the killer even though he quote unquote died at one point, you know? Like that for me was the biggest takeaway from the first movie. So then going into it, I was kind of like, well, they're probably not going to do that again at any other point in the franchise. But boy, was I wrong.
Yeah, I feel like I'm somewhere in the middle of, like, Phil and Andrew, and then, like, you, Dixon, like, I'm a Scream fan, but, I feel like I didn't really get, like I never saw Scream 4 until, like, after Scream 5. Like, I remember, like
Wow.
yeah, yeah, I remember the originals, obviously, I remember seeing them, particularly, I remember, like, Scream 3 a lot, for some reason, that was, like, around a lot, but, I remember seeing the originals when I was young and then never saw 4. I just wasn't really interested, I guess. It came out when we were in college. I don't remember, like, talking about it. But, obviously it came out when we were seniors, or juniors, and then, junior year, I guess. And then, 5 came out and I heard it was good. I watched it on a plane actually, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is fucking amazing." And even, like, the scene where they're, like, Stu Macher's house, I was like, "Oh," like, on this plane, like, watching it on my iPad. And then once that one came out, we watched 4 and, like, binged them all before 6 and then, like, binged them all again. So, yeah, it's been a fun road. Um, but yeah, I think think we're pretty much good on our memories of this. I feel like we're going to start getting into like our own spoiler territory of our rankings. So I want to move to our next section.
I
Cover
just wanna
some.
add one more thing. Just wanna
Yeah,
add one
yeah,
more
yeah,
thing
yeah,
that I just thought of. Don't mind. So, talking about Scream is so generational that, like, the whodunit and the meta aspect is kinda, like, intertwined with a or disguised as a slasher. Um, but that brings so many people, like, Andrew talked about his kids and things like that, and how you can just watch it on the plane. My you know, my parents who are 70 years old now, like, really enjoys going to see these movies in theaters, and they've seen the last 2, 6 and 7 in theaters, and enjoying these movies, enjoying who trying to guess who Ghostface was, who was the killer.
yeah. That's
Um,
crazy.
so I just think it just truly speaks out to generational people. You have, like, young high school kids and, like, 70-year-olds basically loving Ghostface.
Well, you can have a
I
bunch of
mean,
people attracted to the audience, right? It's like you named all these different groups. Everyone's going for a different reason. Someone's going for a slasher, someone's going for a whodunit, someone's going for the soap opera. They're so soapy, like whose brother is this person coming out of the woodwork? Like it's crazy the
Yeah, yeah.
retcons
I don't
they
wanna get too
do.
much into it, but about 100. Yep, yep.
All right. Anyone else want to say anything about memories before we move to our next section? All right. All right. So we've covered our dark pasts. I want to now move to our special segment hosted by Andrew over here. So before we get there, I have to ask, what's your favorite scary movie?
Halloween.
That's going to be a transition scheme. All right. So this is our new special segment for Andrew, who has these props here. So he wants to show them off. So, Andrew, I'm just going to let you take it away.
All right. Um, so I wanted to talk about screen use props. I started dabbling in horror movie props and movie memorabilia around 2020. Um, Collectibles have really got blown up, but I've always loved going to Planet Hollywood when I was a kid, seeing the screen use props. I just think how they're made and understanding them is really unique. So I'm fortunate I was able to acquire the killer's mask used in the opening of Scream 7. Um, and the history of the Ghostface mask is really interesting in the Scream franchise. So originally, Wes Craven went to a lot of different lanes to try to find a different mask. They actually originally had a clown mask, a couple different masks, but they found in like a garage sale, like this Fun World Scream mask based off of the classic painting, and he really wanted it, but then originally he couldn't get the rights to it through the studio. There's a lot of controversy making the first Scream. In fact, at one point, apparently the Weinsteins were going to shut it down, but he quickly filmed the opening of the movie, and then that was able to like get the whole movie funded. Like, oh, okay, we get it now. Because at that point, before Scream, Wes Craven wasn't like he didn't make any big hits. He was on the kind of the way out in Hollywood. He had Nightmare on Elm Street, had some early career, but Scream was a huge hit for him. He had done a string of not that financially or commercially successful movies. So, um, the beginning opening scene mask, as I said, was shot, and then um, the scene with Henry Winkler, the Fonz, hey, that cuts up the mask. You'll notice it has a very different outline if you rewatch the movie. Its eyes and its shape is different because they basically like said they're like a knockoff. They found they could be able to do that, but they end up securing the rights. Um, and the masks have changed over time. Um, the second movie had two types of masks. So they call them Generation 2, and they call them the mask, the RDS mask. The RDS mask is the Randy Destiny mask. It's a different style mask,
Mm,
actually. And their chins are very soft. Um, this is the Scream 7 opening scene hero mask. And the lighting here is kind of like showing it more because it's on screen, but they actually this is one of the most modified masks in the movie. They actually repainted the black here and then the black around the eyes to deepen it. And they reshroud it. So what reshrouding means is that they take away the hood. That's why you'll never see tassels on the killer's mask because they're
mhm.
reshrouding it. And then the inside of the mask here, uh, what they'll often do, in the first two movies, the stunt actors, which were mainly the people that were the killers, the guys, actors actually who were the killers often weren't actually doing the kills. It was a stunt actor, and they would wear black around their eyes. And then in 2, 3, and 4, they apparently wore um, like almost like stockings, like as if you were doing a robbery, like to
Mm.
just be black over their eyes. So that's something because you'll see is um, some of the masks will have that. So here what you see is different than like a store-bought mask. For the listeners, is that you can see there's actually 3 layers stitched inside the mask. Um, so it's really actually pretty heavy and hard and not flexible at all. Um, this they started doing this in this movie and 6, which is when they do the aged masks. And they just went into more detail. If you notice in the opening credits, originally Lionsgate actually had the rights to it, and the Weinsteins, and then it became Spyglass and Sony now. And so there's just a little different production and budget with it. And yeah, that's a little bit about here. This is the a knife. The knife is now, pretty much the Ghostface mask and the knife are pretty iconic now. Yeah, no matter what, he's always using this weapon. And so this was in Scream 6, and this was used as a hero. So what a hero prop means, a hero prop is the close up. This is a hero mask. Okay, a stunt is like, let's say if we're using a knife or an action scene, so somebody was going to maybe get hit in the head, kicked in the head. They're going to wear a lower quality mask. One, because it could be not meant for close-ups, more action scenes. Same thing with knives. When they're doing the actual fights, they're actually substituting it out. They take a mold of this buck knife, and then they would make like 6 or 7 what they call stunts, and they're meant to like break, or they're rubber that's painted or covered resin, or hard foam latex to like allow them to be safe for the actors essentially. But for close-ups, it would look fake, so they have a hero. So in Scream 6, they had one hero knife, and then this knife was used as a mold for the other knives in the movie, and they did that for each one. So happy to have the iconic parts of the franchise, and thought it'd be interesting to share the
So
history of
that
stuff.
sorry, that is the actual knife that was used in the movie, and then they used that as the mold for all of the
Stunts.
stunt knives.
Mhm.
That's the
Yeah.
actual one that you have. That's incredible.
That's correct. Yeah,
Wow.
this one's on screen, and it comes with a letter of authenticity from a crew member. They actually filmed that one in Canada, and another certificate of authenticity for someone that uh, essentially there was a large amount of the props from Scream 1 and 2 went out after the movie because they never thought they were going to like make another one. Then Scream 3 came around, and then they didn't have anybody in the wardrobe um, with the ropes, and they didn't know how to really make them the same for continuity purposes. So they actually went to a prop collector who snatched all the stuff up and said, "Hey, could you let us borrow this?" And they started giving him access as a credit to the movie and a consultant. His name's actually
That's
Nate
crazy.
Reagan. He has a YouTube channel devoted to Ghostface and things like that, if listeners are looking for that. And he is now like an assistant on like continuity for these, especially with Scream 6, because they had the different robes and the different, right, from all the different killers
It
in the
makes
movie.
sense,
Spoiler
yeah.
alert, sorry. Um, yeah, so he's had access, and so he has access to the props, and then he can validate them because of his connections, and he validated this knife. He also validated this, and what makes this interesting is that so the last 3 years, there's been a auction. So in case there's a listener that actually is like, how can I get one of these masks?
Mhm.
There's auctions. Prop Store actually currently in March 25th is auctioning off a Scream 2 matched mask that was used on screen in the beginning for the bathroom kill. And there's a Scream 4 production mask that Wes Craven signed in that auction too as well. So if you've got some extra funds and you are crazy, you can go out after it. Best way to get these things is usually privately. So the auctions are more competitive. They're getting more people are aware they can buy these things. This was given to me from a private collector who won this mask and the other mask that's used in the movie. Um, Inside this mask, you'll see here, you'll actually see that I'm trying to see the camera. Can you see the writing there?
Mhm.
Yeah,
A
so you'll
little
see
bit.
it. Okay, so it says, um, I can drop it. There you go. It says burn. Okay, so this was used in the fire effects in the beginning of the opening. Okay, so it's a little harder. It's also really dark. It looks like it's really white right now because of the light, but it's actually almost looks like a gray when you're looking at it. I was surprised how dark it is.
That's unbelievable.
And let me ask you
Um,
this. So in Scream 6, I heard they made fake props. Like they made the fake CRT bubble TV on Stu's
Yeah,
yeah. So you can also this guy, I guess he helped make those props and people can buy those props as well.
yeah.
The
So he didn't
fake
necessarily
Scream 6
be a
props that
consultant.
really was
He doesn't
used.
actually make the props. He was helping continuity, but they actually had you just gotta so VIP is a company, VIP Fan Auctions, and they'll probably have one for Scream 7 coming up. They didn't sell any of the masks or the knives, but actually all those things, the robes, Stu Macher's TV that fell on him, the jacket from the opening of Steve from Scream 1, all those weren't actually originally from the movie. Those are lost. They don't still have, in the 90s and the 80s, they were throwing these things out. They either kept reused them or they weren't keeping them in storage. Like they didn't really see the value of it. Some people did, some crew members took it. But so Scream 6, all those props you see inside the um shrine, quote unquote, none of them were actually from the original. So but they did sell those in an auction. And so people, Billy's costume with the blood, it's the only chance you can get with that. All that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Damn, how much did that TV go for? The
Yeah,
remake Stu Macher
so
TV.
there's actually I'm gonna plug this guy, even though he's not me. There's an Asian collector. He has a great collection, great horror collection. He really gets a lot of stuff. His name is K Champ, and his KCHAMP basement, K Champ basement or K Champ's basement, and he probably has like 30 to 40 collect things from Scream 6. He even has the hero mask, each mask that Sam wears at the end of Billy Mask and the robe from the end of the movie. So it's kind of cool. If you're into props and you listen to this stuff and you love these movies, like I do, you kind of like looking at how they're made. That's a cool thing to look at. So plug for KJ.
so I have a prop question, and I don't know if you'll be able to answer this or not. I'm assuming you will. But one of the things I noticed about the cape, and I don't know which movie it changed, but in the latter movies, the cape definitely has like a bit of like a tinkle or
A
like a
sparkle.
glitter, like a sheer over it. Yeah,
Certainly, yeah.
I
So that
noticed that,
wasn't
and I
even
was
really the
like,
original. Yeah, so they do they that was something that they added in, especially I think in Scream 3, and they changed it also, like, the materials were different, right? They started, like, losing those materials and how to do it, same people weren't making it, different studios, that's why they wanted to try to keep the continuity of it, yeah, so they did the rows have changed over time, same thing here, like, one thing people know is, like, so when they make a movie, they make, like, probably about, like, 6 of these, right? But there's a lot of detail to this. This one, you know, they painted it, like I said, you can see the black. It just you see almost you can see it has almost no reflection. The light, I'm actually directly under light. That's so on camera. If you find a store bought one, it's gonna like shine like crazy. So but they're making like a couple of them on screen, obviously, but they usually like for continuity to keep the same one, right? For certain parts of it, right? So um there's like little specks and things that people go nuts with, but they'll keep the same one, but they'll make like 6 of them, right? So, and look at that. But yeah, the robes have gone through changes, the masks have gone through changes, especially in the eye holes. You'll see the biggest difference is that it's so thin in the second one, and they're really different over time.
I wasn't sure if there was a particular reason, like if maybe I just missed something in watching them of why the robe was a little different, or like you said, it was just different designers and or they wanted to use it to just differentiate it from like this is different than the first movie, so we're going to use something a little noticeably different, but not totally taking away from the
Yeah, so
charactership.
obviously they all like similar. So when you make a mask like this, they put it through like a mold. So it's like a mold, an actual like it looks like like you put in a furnace, right? Okay, and so those molds for the details, they only have, let's say, like hundreds of them that you can do. Okay, right? So a line, and eventually the mold gets killed. Okay, so you can't use it anymore. So then that's the first one was a generation one. Right? In Scream 2, by that point, they didn't know how popular the movie was. So by that point, they were no longer using the Generation 1 molds were no good. And they didn't have copies of the Gen 1s anymore. So what they did, they went to Fun World, said, okay, give us the Ghostface mask. And they supplied them then with Gen 2 molds. Then same thing, vice versa, kept going on. Okay. Now the newer ones, 6 and 7, that's when they take it and they're really modifying it a lot now. Yeah. One of the things that's interesting about the Scream 7 mask, which at first I was concerned that maybe it wasn't used, but makes this is going into Scream 7 territory a little bit, is that most of the hero masks really are just the normal ones you could have bought in a store, except they have this reshroud, as we said, and they have Velcro on the top. And the reason for that is that so when the actor is running, the hood wouldn't fall off. Okay, right. And so you'll see that, and even actually I had to move because of the internet connection, as we all know. But I had the Scream 2 patron robe upstairs, and that has a Velcro too for the act. So they didn't want to have like do another take and another take in a whole crowd where Velcro the hoods are coming all off because they wanted the hoods on for the Ghostface, right? So in Scream 7, both, and so the person that gave me this also bought the other one, and I had him show me. None of them have Velcro, so I was like, "Oh, okay." Because at first I was like, "Oh, maybe this wasn't the Scream used one, right?" But you'll notice in Scream 7, there's a couple times where he gets knocked down, and almost the hood goes down on him. So talking to somebody that worked on with the movie, uh, they just didn't use Velcro this time. It was a different director. Actually, Scream 7 was directed by the original writer of the first couple, 1 and 2 and 4.
Yeah, Williamson.
Oh,
Yeah,
I don't know
yeah.
if you
cool.
guys knew that. Yeah, so Kevin Williamson. Yeah,
Kevin
exactly. Yeah,
Williamson.
Vampire. So this is the first time in the director chair, and he just made some changes. Yeah.
Andrew, is there a mask that you would
Amazing.
want specifically?
Yeah, so I really like the aged mask. I'm a fan of like the beaten up look kind of thing, or like modified mask. So I'm happy to have the Scream 7 one because it is like it was surprising how heavy this thing is.
Mm.
It's got some weight to it for sure. It doesn't look like it. You can even see like how it's like I don't know, maybe a little bit. Let me see it. Stitched um on the bottom there. You can kind of see the strings maybe a little bit. Yeah. So everything's like restitched on it, but I would like the age mask. I thought they looked cool. Yeah, I thought they like the cracked and like, beat up kind of thing. It just feels it screams like a movie, right? Just
Yeah,
like this is
yeah, yeah.
modified, I think is cool. This tag actually is RJ Tolbert. He signed this, so let's see his signature here. And then the RJ mask, they call it in the auction is the RJ mask. They actually thought this was a prototype. That's how I was able to get this. The person that sold this to me thought this was a prototype at first, and then he didn't look inside. He was inside, and he realized it actually was a screen used one. He just got them, and because he paid a lot of money for 2 masks, he wanted to like kind of split it, cut it out.
Yeah.
And then he just didn't really check. He even said so. So I got really lucky on this. I also would probably wouldn't have been able to get a hero mask. So, but RJ Tolbert, he's the owner of Fun World. Yeah, I would like the age mask. Only one I know has come out from it, and it was from this auction that they do. Spyglass has some association with the Brooke Jackman Foundation. So, it's a charity donation. So they've been donating since Scream 5. Each movie, each year, like if there's a Scream 8 and you want to get one of these, Brooke Jackman Foundation, look in October, they're gonna donate another one. Yeah, but they only donate one or two from a movie. Like this one had 2 masks. The other one was the aged mask, and it went for just looking at them, how crazy it is, like $35,000. Yeah. Actually,
That's
Scream 1 full
crazy.
outfit. The Scream 1 full outfit, um, with the robe and then the mask, the screen match. Screen match is a term in prop collecting that means that with 4K imaging, you can match the little imperfections of the mold, let's say. So this has like let's say example, has a little bubble, just imperfection underneath here. So I'm excited when I get to 4K because there's a real big close up of in Scream 7 of the math is great because the movie's really dark. So it's really hard in a Ghostface mask. There's not a lot of scratches on it to see. So I'm hoping I can match it because that will be even increase the value and
Yeah, that would be
the
wild.
effectiveness of it. But the Scream 1 full robe is sold in prop store 2 years ago for over $200,000.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I'm
Now
not
that's
like
the comics. The first
surprised, but
movie,
that's
right, is one of
crazy.
one. Yeah, I mean, like you can these are kind of things you can put this in a room and anyone internationally probably knows what this is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
Absolutely.
Like people that even don't like scary movies would know what this is. Oh, I know that's from a movie, like Ghostface or Scream, right? So it's transcended that. And then they had a Scream 1 mask, um, and that sold for over 100,000 recently. So um, ones from ones from 5 sold too as well recently, and they were more like the 10 to 20,000 range, which is still a lot of money, obviously. But um, when they go into these auctions, people are no longer letting these things go out anymore. So,
Yeah,
but
right.
crew members are like, oh wow, like I have this, and then they're making a lot of money on it. Yeah,
That's why he's the best. Yeah, the
that was a
auctions.
prop deep dive there for you.
The auctions, I know exactly what you're talking about, though. Even I've done other things, for like things for the Mets, and like anytime you deal with someone directly through like a marketplace or through friends, and like, hey, I know you're looking for so and so, or like, are you game New Jersey for this player? It's always easier than straight through like a Mets charity or something like that, because then you compete against so many people. It's like it's ridiculous. Yeah, so I know exactly what you're talking about
Yeah, and collectibles are
to a
going
degree.
crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, Logan Paul just sold a Pokemon card for $16 million. Um, like it's like a different asset class now. So collectibles are a big thing, and you know, you gotta collect what you love, not as investment, but it's fun to see this stuff for sure.
Incredible.
Are we ranking these bad boys or what?
We're ready. We're ready. We're ready. We're ready. All right. Well, Andrew, thanks for sharing. I'm glad we could see it all. I think we're ready to get to our rankings. And before we do, I want to ask you all, do you know the rules?
Jesus Christ, you don't know the rules?
So here's how we're going to do our rankings. For people that listen to movie podcasts, specifically to horror podcasts, a hat tip to the Halloweenies who pioneered this ranking for me, of how they do their rankings. I like it. So we're going to crib it from them. And essentially, here's how we're going to do it. Since there's 7 movies, we're going to go in reverse order. And everyone has their rankings with them. I don't know them. We don't know each other's rankings. It's fair to say that we all like these movies. But we're going to go from worst to best, and we're going to round robin. I'll ask everyone their least favorite Scream movie, but we won't talk about said movie until we all name it. So let's say my least favorite Scream movie is Scream 1. And no one mentions Scream 1 until last because it's all of their favorites. We're not talking about Scream 1 until it's very last. So we'll try that. Eventually, we will get through some of them. And then at the end, we'll probably all land in the similar area. Maybe, or it could get very interesting. So that's how we'll do it. And we'll go around. And once we get to that movie, um, we'll talk about that movie. And then once we feel like we're through and we're ready, we'll do that. And then we'll get to our final thoughts, talk about some future stuff. So let's just kick it off. Dixon, since you're pretty much the newbie here, what is your least favorite Scream movie?
I can't believe you're gonna put that pressure on me of having just seen
Fresh
most
eyes.
of the movies, and then I gotta go first. I get that. Okay, so I when I was going through this, I had a very, very difficult time. I knew my top 2, maybe top 3, and everything else I was like, I was just going through it like, maybe this makes sense. I don't know, but like, so my least favorite, and I feel like I'm gonna get some with this statement, is
There's only
2.
one answer, to be honest with you.
I think it's 2 is my least favorite.
Oh my god,
I know.
that's
I
like one of the
like.
most popular ones in the franchise.
That's like everyone's like top
It's
3.
like
That's what I'm saying.
everyone loves. It has like the best
I
chase
liked it.
sequences.
It was just I was going through the order and I was like, I think 2.
Oh, this is this.
I-
Oh, wait, all right, hold on,
Can't
hold on,
wait to
hold
hear
on,
the
hold on.
reasons why. I can't
Yeah,
wait.
yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah, yeah, yeah.
oh my god.
See, this is why. This is
I-
no,
I
no,
have
no,
some
no, no,
reason
no,
why
no, not
this
yet,
is-
not yet, not yet. We can't talk about it.
I
Oh,
know.
all
I
right,
know.
sorry.
Halloween
Okay.
folks.
Okay. All right. So 2
All right,
for me.
Phil. What is
Love it.
your least
Love it.
favorite
First of all,
Scream movie?
love it. Love it. Dixon, I love it. I love you flip it on his head. I love it. Scream 3. Let me preface this by saying Scream is arguably, honestly, it might be one of my favorite movie franchise of all time. Okay, not even just in horror. And there's no bad Scream movie. Because I want to say that. So
Agree.
I enjoy all of these movies. Okay, so we never really said that in the podcast. All these movies are awesome. However, we have to rank one this last, and I thought it was a no brainer. Scream 3. Yeah, that's how I feel.
All right. Andrew, what is your least favorite Scream movie?
Yes. Yes. I'll be right back. Just kidding. All right. Yeah, so this is definitely it's like a tier like drop here. 3 is the worst in the franchise. I can't wait to explain why for sure.
Well, I am right there with you guys. Scream 3 is my bottom of the list. All right. Can't talk about it. So, Dixon, feet to the fire. What is number 6 on your Scream list?
All right. After that, now I feel like my whole list is wrong, but we'll keep going.
This is why it's
Um,
interesting.
I yeah. I think so we're going from least favorite to
You better not
second
say
least
1 right
favorite.
now.
Next is
I'll leave
second
the script.
worst.
Come on.
Second worst
You
is
better
now.
say
Yeah,
one.
you're second worst.
Second worst. Second worst. I have 6.
Scream 6. Phil's dying right now. He loves 6. Okay. Phil, what is your number 6?
Scream 7.
All right. Very interesting. Andrew, what's your number 6?
Scream 5.
My number 6 is also Scream 7, same as Phil's so far. We can't talk about any of these yet. Still can't talk about the movies. This is the beauty of the Halloweenies method. All right. Back to the list. Mr. Dixon, what is your fifth favorite Scream movie?
My 5th favorite Scream movie is currently in theaters. Scream 7.
And what was your number 6? Your number 6 was which one?
6 is 6.
6 was 6. Okay. Phil, what is your 6th favorite Scream movie?
5 for 5. Scream 5 or Scream.
Scream 5 or Scream. All right. Very interesting. Still can't talk about him. Andrew, what is your number 6?
Scream 7.
Scream 7. Okay. We still have not all had the same one. Wow, this is crazy. Okay. My number 5 is Scream 6.
Are we doing 5 or 4?
This
Or
is
5 or
5. I
6?
didn't name mine. I didn't name my 5th yet.
Oh,
So
okay.
my
Sorry.
5th is Scream 6. Okay. 4th.
We're not going to be on the same page because Scream 2 was all the way down
There's too much going on.
This is killing us. The Scream 2 is killing us. Okay.
No, it's incredible. I said it's incredible. It's incredible. It makes it so much fun.
Dixon, what's your number 4?
My number 4 is number 5.
Have we all mentioned 5? No, we haven't. Oh my God. Okay. I'm just making my list here. So Dixon is Scream 5 for 4. Okay, Phil, what is your number 4?
My number 4 Scream movie, Scream 2.
All right. Andrew, number 4.
Number 4 is Scream 6.
Scream 6. Okay. Do we have one? No, we don't. We don't. Oh my gosh. All right. Wow.
This is
I'm just
great.
checking my notes just to make sure. Just double check with me. Give me one sec, guys. My number 4, very similar to Phil here. My number 4 is Scream 2. Okay. Dixon, what is your number 3?
My number 3 is Scream 4.
Scream 4 is your number 3. Okay. Phil, what is your number 3?
Scream 6.
Scream 6. I think we all have a 6 here. Dixon had it for 6th. Andrew had it for 4th. And I had it for 5th. Phil, since it came
Wait
up
a minute,
first
wait a
for
minute. We
you
already-
or
but-
last for you,
But we
talk
all
about
had
it.
said 7 before this.
No, we didn't all say 7, did we?
all did.
Oh, we
I
did.
had
Okay.
7.
We did. We screwed
Yeah.
up. All right. So no, 7. Let's talk about
Wait a
7 and then
minute.
we'll talk about 6. Yeah, we did. We did. Okay. It's a shit show.
Too much on Halloween rules.
It's a shit show
Wait,
after
have
all
we all
that.
said Scream 5? I think we all said Scream 5 already too, haven't we?
I think we bought it too. Yeah, I think
Hold
we
on.
did all. Those did Scream 2.
No, okay, hold on. We'll sort this, but while we're going through, I guess Scream 7 did come up first. Phil, why don't you talk about why Scream 7 is your number 6?
Okay. So there's a whole part of it that makes me love it, but not really love it. Like I always said, there's no bad Scream movie. However, I'll start with the positives first, because I want you always want to build up a little bit before you tear it down. It's awesome having Matthew Lillard back. I think
Yes.
that's awesome in the movie. I think we all can agree, like he's such a fun actor. Even his face, just how he's like, always had a thing for you, Sid. And his eyes
The
are going
first time you
crazy.
see him is so good.
yeah, it's incredible. Yeah, so I love that. Great opening. So happy my brother has a fire mask now. It's very, very cool. I think very cool opening. Some of the negatives, the final act is very sloppy. It was actually one of the only times that I actually predicted the Ghostface. I said it, the way the girl Jessica talked about, hey, I don't talk about the past with my son, and about an abusive husband. And I was like, this is kind of weird. It put a red flag in my brain right away that she might be it. But honestly, her being the killer didn't bother me. What bothered me was when Sydney and Gail in the studio, and Marcus Wales is from Mark is there, and they're trying to figure out, hey, let's get the killer out, get the killer out. Gail stays in the studio after like a fight they have with the interview, and Sydney goes on foot instead of going back in the car and getting car keys from Gail.
So weird.
She thinks it's a bad idea to run. And I was like, that's where it's like, it doesn't seem smart in a Scream movie. There's a line I feel like where it's like Scream makes fun of those things, and then they actually did something that doesn't make sense.
Yes.
So that was a big turnoff for me. And the trailer, I'm very blessed. I really went dark, and Andrew knows this. I didn't see any of the trailer. And so I refused.
I didn't
see the movie poster. I didn't see anything. And so when I rewatched the trailer shows that awesome scene in the beginning where the girl hangs from the chandelier and then falls on Ghostface, and he perfectly turns for the knife. And like the trailer shows that. The trailer shows the Tatum character shooting Ghostface through the wall, which is such a sick part of the movie. Like, honestly, you told me what was my favorite part of the movie, I'm like, it was kind of cool. The running was so stupid, but I guess it was kind of cool to have the shooting in the head and him getting up. But like the trailer showed that too. So it's like it's so insane to me. Yeah. So for a lot of those reasons, and then there's some other reason about what Scream 7 could have been, and I'll let you guys talk about 7. And I don't know if you know about that, what he wanted to do with the Carpenter sisters, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. That I would have loved that idea more.
Let's hear it. No, tell me about it. What was the idea?
Yeah. Okay. So the original script with in this world where Melissa Barrera and Jenna Ortega is still involved, and the radio silence, and they could do that trilogy arc that David Gordon Green did with the Halloween series. He had that arc. He had 3 movies to do it, and so I feel like I would have loved to see that third arc. Sam Carpenter eventually was going to be Ghostface. It was going to be her mother and her.
Interesting.
And it's my understanding, yeah, right. So my understanding of the script is that Tara, Jenna Ortega's character, gets killed early or mid-act. And those Billy Loomis visions that we've been seeing throughout the other movies finally take over. And it would be so awesome, I think, to have a legacy character. It wouldn't make sense for Sydney at all. Nev Campbell wouldn't make sense. It would be kind of cool to see that her arc kind of take over and have a legacy character finally be the Ghostface. I think that would be something fun and different that I would like to see instead of what they gave us. But again, I don't hate the Jessica motive and things like that. Scream 4 nod with the book. I really didn't hate all that. I think that could have been something different that maybe I would have liked more. And then the other thing that is the Kevin Williamson, the original creator, director. He actually apparently had a shot where he wanted Stu actually to be alive in one of the cuts, and he test audience that Stu was alive, and the audience didn't like it. So apparently there's a version out there, early version of Scream, where Stu is alive. So it's Jessica and Stu.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Yes. Kevin Williams said in an Esquire interview. You can look it up.
See that I like what they did with the AI stuff, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know how you bring Stu back unless you go supernatural. They had all those conveniences, but they also talked about how did no one recognize him all these years and all that other stuff. And that's what I thought of when they originally said that. So I don't really know how you could bring him back without going fully supernatural.
Where I thought it was going to be almost like a cult following thing, where we haven't talked about Scream 3 yet, so I don't want to get too much about the failed Scream 3 script, which I find very intriguing as well. I'll bring that up, I guess, when we talk about that movie.
Aaron Kruger.
But the idea of the idea of that and the failed Freddy vs. Jason script, there was a group called the Fred Heads, and they worship Freddy Krueger, and they brought him back, and basically his fear and killed on the name of Freddy to bring Freddy back. I think there could have been some kind of cult for Stu. I think I would have liked to see something like that. I think that would have been could have been a cool way to go as well. But he can't be back. I mean, it doesn't make sense. Yeah.
Andrew, what are your thoughts on Scream 7?
Yes. Yeah. So we all already said 3. So 3 should have been I wanted to discuss the worst and then this, that way. But I'll say that
did we
when I made
already
this,
say 3?
everyone already said 3.
No,
I
Dixon
didn't
did not
say 3 yet.
You didn't say
No, he did
3
not.
yet? And you put 2 on the bottom? Jeez.
I'm telling you, we did screw up. We did both say 7 and 6, but I think that's it. Yeah.
All right, fine. All right. So, you always got rules, right? So like Randy would say, so there's rules to these things. So I think there's rules to a Scream movie. So a good Scream movie has a great chase sequence, hopefully multiple ones, a good reveal, and an amazing opening scene. And the killer's motives matter too, I think, sometimes too. So those kind of are memorable kills, or that. But Scream isn't really known for memorable kills too much. So actually, I think Scream 7 has a lot of memorable set pieces. The stomach slash from the actor Tinkerbell kind of thing in the school scene is kind of cool. I'm not going to bash a movie because the trailer, messes it up so as much as trailers ruin movies now. So, but I would say is that the set, the chase sequences inside the house, the stabbing in the wall, the way he got up and stuff like that. It's not shot as well as the previous 2 movies. Like the director is Radio Silence, who did 5 and 6 and did the movie Red or Not. They're just a more skilled filmmaker. They make Ghostface look stronger and scarier at times when he runs, and there's the Jenna Ortega first opening scene is really cool. So the reveal is probably the worst reveal, I think, of the way they did it of the whole series. I have no problem completely with it. It does kind of have that probably the biggest bash of Scream 2 is if you don't know who Billy's mother really is through it, and it's kind of she shows up at the end. Watching it again, she's in it a lot more. But I think that it's always harder when it's not one of the kids. I like that they did that, but it's almost like because you're not giving this person screen time, you're like, wait, what? Kind of thing. It's only this person was only in the scene.
It felt random. It felt a little
great
random.
opening. Yeah. It felt like a little and the thing is, it had $500,000, as Phil was saying, of rewrites. So the original director was supposed to be Christopher Landon, who directed Happy Death Day and Freaky which is like a Freaky Friday horror
Oh,
twist with Vince Vaughn. So he was gonna
it's
he kind of
amazing.
be kind of fun. But obviously, yeah, they fired Melissa Barrera, then Jenna Ortega left. But you could feel the rewrite because the opening scene is great. It really is like a horror movie. Lover is in a movie. I love the Jason the trivia stuff, and it's brutal. But it almost feels like there's no purpose. Like you can see how that opening scene has nothing to do. Like it's right out of any of the opening scenes, other than like I think it's probably reminds me of like Scream 4, which I'm fine with Scream 4. I like Scream 4 a lot. I actually think the opening scene is one of the weakest of all the Scream movies in Scream 4. I get they're doing like a dream sequence, you're waking up multiple times. I'm not trying to go to that too far, but great
Oh,
opening
I love
sequence,
that. I
but it doesn't
love
really
that.
yeah, okay, then you liked it, yeah. So, but the opening sequence here, I think is really great. I think the idea that like he's like in the darkness and you see the ghost face mask suddenly come out of the black and the shadows, really cool. You haven't really seen it like that. That's stalking, almost a Michael Myers type ghost face. And that was neat because it was new. And they tried a lot of they swung for a lot of things here. The kill with like the tap, the guy's head goes onto a tap and
I
beer is like
hated
blowing
that
up
one, honestly. I
his
thought that
mouth
was
and
so
stuff.
ridiculous.
Um, yeah, well, it's not normal for Scream to do that. Yeah, I think so that was
Right.
a little
That
bit out
doesn't
there,
feel like
but
a Scream movie.
again, 7th film in the franchise, memorable kills, a little bit more zanier, wilder kills in this one. Um, and I think, yeah, some great chase sequences. So, not my least favorite, but, some things to take away from it.
Well, the kills too, it's almost like there was parts where like they showed really gore, and then they didn't show gore at all. Or like it would cut like away, or a kill would happen off stage. And it was like it was very weird. It was like or even like when the Meeks got like when they Chad and Mindy, it's like they kind of got stabbed and like they barely showed them. They just didn't show them again. But then they went out of their way to have like the beer tap scene where it's like we're gonna make it grotesque and like make him over the top. But then some of the kills, like it's a knife quick and that's it. Like it was just very like nitpicky when they did gore and when they didn't. It was very weird. Where some movies it was more throughout, or they kind of cut back throughout.
Yeah, so I think that's a good
That's
point.
how I felt.
I did think that the ghost face was the least consistent when he was attacking. Yeah, so I think sometimes you look at each
Yes.
killer and they're kind of like similar. One's like in the newer ones, Scream 5 and 6, he's more of a vicious killer. Again, I don't want to go into that too much, but it's like he just is stronger looking. Scream 1 and 2 and like just falling down. It's a man, or a girl. It's a person. This one was like sometimes doing like crazy like jigsaw saw type things, almost like the death scenes, and then some were like really over the top Friday 13th style, and then some, yeah, were just straightforward normal kills. So, where he would just be stabbing over and over again. Yeah, it was a little bit inconsistent there. I didn't really like in the moment. I don't really take it away other than being like, this is the 7th movie and they're doing something different.
How
That
did
was
how
just
did
fine
you
to me.
guys feel about the Ghostface? Because I really we touched on it a little bit just now, but like other than them not being kids, I did feel like it was a little left field. Like the neighbor, when she first revealed her face, I had like a double take. I was like, "Oh, wait, who is that again?" I recognized Ethan Embry, the hospital guy, just because he's such a good character actor. So I was like, "Oh, he." I almost clocked him for Ghostface. But like, what did you guys feel about them?
Well, I met
Well, like I
multiple
said
people
before,
that said
yeah.
that they knew the ghost face because apparently this woman plays crazy in a couple different things. I only remembered her from Pitch Perfect, but people that are a fan of Netflix You and some other show,
Mm,
she's like unhinged and crazy in that. And so they kind of like, oh, she's here, she's probably the killer. So that was like awful casting if that was the case for people that saw that. But her saying like your book, I wanted to kill you because you didn't go to New York and you're supposed to be the hero was a little bit.
yeah, yeah,
It was like
yeah,
one of the weakest reasons to kill.
yeah.
So I wish they didn't like say that almost. Um, if it was a Stu Macher like
But I do
lover
like the
like
callback.
kind of thing. What you say?
But to be fair, I do like the callback. I do like the callback of mentioning Scream 4 in the book and bringing it back to the Scream universe. But I do agree that like there is a flaw in a plan. Then basically, so you die, and like now you create this trauma to Tatum. Like, or like, hey, that's basically your motive, right? Because if you're gonna kill Sydney in front of Tatum, then if Tatum's going to kill you, or you're not going to kill Tatum, then don't you want to have the new Sidney Prescott, the new 2.0 Sydney? That was our point.
But she kind of does
know?
it anyway. She
Yeah, I
kind
mean,
of
they did
achieves
like a
that.
reverse Halloween.
Yeah. I honestly, I can't believe I predicted with her. Usually I never do. I swear to I turned to my wife and we both said like, "Hey, who do you think?" Like halfway through the movie, and I was like, "I think it's going to be this neighbor," because that line just stuck with me. And the theater director, it was just so like over the top weird. Like, "You're Sidney Prescott." It was almost like comical, where it was like she's in a furry outfit. I was like,
Yeah.
that's not seriously deceiving." And I guess they cut to him that one part in the scene where he was there in the police line, but I was like, that didn't fake me out. I was like, this. I just thought it was more like comical relief weirdness and over the top acting, in my opinion. Um, to be him. But I know my parents, and I think Andrew mentioned at one point, you thought it might have been him at one point. So I don't know.
Yeah, they did good red herring there with him. I was gonna say the point of like it is like a reverse Halloween, which is interesting. Where like in Halloween 40 or the newer one and the new series, where Jamie Lee Curtis is like training and teaching her children to like be prepared for Michael, and this is the inverse of that, right? So it's like she's actually shielding them and not training them for this day to come. So that hasn't always been done. Usually it's the opposite. So it was again. There's some new stuff with it.
And I mentioned to you guys, I'm not sure if it was recording or not, but I saw it in 4DX, and it was such a fun experience. So it did kind of really one of the reasons why it wasn't one of the worst movies, even though there was some script and flaws and things like that with the reveal that wasn't the greatest, is the 4DX really made it a fun experience. And that beer tap kill scene, you got like sprayed with water and like blood as the guy's like mouth is coming out with all that stuff. And so that just made the whole 4DX experience a lot of fun. So I recommend people, you want to see a good thrill movie, a 4DX theater is totally worth it for a movie like this. All right, Dixon, you're up. Scream 7.
How'd you feel
So
about it?
I enjoyed it. I think I am also a little biased in the fact that this is the only one that I saw in theaters and I saw it in IMAX, and so I think that definitely gave it a little bit more emphasis for me and a little bit more enjoyment, like actually being able to see it in theaters. I really enjoyed the creepiness of Ghostface in those few scenes, like when they're in the garage, and the the dad is like he's like picking up the weapons, and like you see the face like kind of like slowly come into behind the curtain behind him and then like fade away and it disappears. Like I like the mysticisms and like little like creepier motions that the killer did throughout the movie, and I enjoyed that a lot more because I felt like in the other movies it was just like you would see him like scurrying in the background and that's it. And then and obviously like you said, he's a real just human killer, whereas like in this one it was a little bit more, there was some like secondary like essence to him that was really scary. Like so I think I enjoyed that part about it. And yeah, I just think having the theatrical experience just I think makes movies so much better. So that's why for me it was a little bit not much higher up, but a little bit higher up on the list for me for sure.
You totally get it. Theater experience is the best. Horror movies and comedies are the two movies you have to see in theaters if
Yeah.
they're a big, because the audience affects you
Yes.
for sure. People were clapping and cheering when Gail and the Meeks came out of the car in my theater where they ran over the
Right, the
Carl
same thing
Cole
happened with
space.
us.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
all like,
same thing.
yeah, it was great. Yep.
Did you guys feel like the Meeks had a purpose in this one? Did you
They're
just like
crazy. They
seeing them
can't
back?
be killed now at this point.
It's
Yeah,
ridiculous. It's
there's
ridiculous.
They have to stick.
there's
When he gets
plot armor
stabbed
and then
that
it's
much
them.
in the chest, I'm like,
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
killed.
yes, yeah. It's
Yes.
ridiculous.
So it is ridiculous. And to be honest, it's like I can see why they're almost like setting up to be like the new Gale and stuff like that. So like if Gale doesn't go in Scream 8, she's never gonna go either. Let's put it that way.
Right.
but they have to like
I mean, actually,
explode
that's
to
a good,
die now at this point.
I feel like this
They
is a good
can't die.
segue for us because I feel like we can talk about 6 in the same breath now at this point because we did name it. So we could just get into it too in the same conversation as we're doing with 7. But like, yeah, Chad gets stabbed like 30 times in the chest at the end of 6. I like almost forgot he was even back because I didn't watch the trailer for this one, and then he did come back, and I was like, what the like, or like but then he got stabbed. I was like, this is crazy. Like how many times these two get killed or nearly killed.
Yeah,
And then at the end they're just like
he's
doing
like-
the report.
heroically saving them, and he's just like, his kicks there so much. But it was a cool scene because I mean they had both Ghostface did the Stu Macher like cutting the blood off the blade at the same time. Um, cool, cool idea. Like basically the Agatha Christie, and then there was none. It's a famous book about who done it, probably perfect who done it book, where in there all these people are on an island together and there's a killer, and then the first person that gets killed is actually the killer, but he pretends to be dead. So the whole book, you
Mm.
literally are trying to figure out who done it. And so what they did with Quinn, you think she's dead, right? Because the Green Murray hasn't done it before, and then it turns out she's still alive. So that was cool. Dermot Mulroney, I'm not sure, he's a little bit wild about like the way he did. He was a crazy ghost face, but film shot really well, and
They're
I
always
thought
a
it
little
has better
crazy.
set pieces than Five. Ghostface in New York, it's different. I think Jenna Ortega and the Melissa stuff. And what kind of franchise is able to literally most can't pivot. So you have no Sidney Prescott anymore, and they actually literally took a beloved franchise and reinvented it without even needing any Sidney Prescott. So, really amazing job to do that. I think Five again doesn't have really set pieces. That's why I said I love the set piece. I love the chases. Scream 2 has an amazing car chase sequence, probably one of the best in the series. Yeah, I can't believe anyone that wouldn't put that high. But I mean,
It is the best in the
New
series.
York's fun. I think the Shrine's fun. I think Kirby's wild to bring her back with her nose job and stuff. But whatever she's got going on plastic surgery wise.
Yeah, I wanted her to be the Ghostface. It was such like a perfect legacy character. It's not
She's too
too
short.
big of a legacy character to be Ghostface.
It would be
Who
the
cares?
shortest
Too short.
Ghostface. It'd be like a 5-foot Ghostface.
Jessica and Scream okay, and Scream 7, Jessica, all of a sudden she's lifting up her dead son over like that in a beer cap. The guy was like 6'5", double, a stunt double doing that. It doesn't matter. The Ghostface body is always a little different.
Good point.
But what I'm saying is that like, so 6 was the mask. The mask, I just love the mask. The mask is amazing. I think that like that weather beaten mask is incredible. The shotgun thing, everyone's like, oh, Ghostface. Matthew Lillard said something like, "It's too violent. He used a gun." It's like, well, how many times have you seen in a reveal, Scream 2 Mickey, right, where he also has a gun or stuff like that? So Ghostface has a gun just because now he has a mask on, he can't have a gun. That shotgun was cool. It was very New York. It seemed it was different. I like the opening scene a lot. I think it was very cool to show Ghostface. Like take his mask off in the beginning. It was that kid. I think that was fun to show that him die and he thought it was a college kid in the club. I think that was very cool. I love I even love the part where the ending, the shrine, all that was so cool. I believe like, oh man, Kirby's going to be at this. I really thought it was the perfect way to do that. Right. The only real criticism I have of Scream 6 is that no one died. Gail should have died. I think Gail, or you killed one of the core 4. Or the thing is, you made such a good job of the core 4. Jenna Ortega was built up so well. You somehow, with like Wednesday and all this stuff, you somehow found another star. Like my brother said, to replace Nev Campbell in a way where you don't have to give her a blank paycheck because that's what you didn't want. That's what you had to do in 7. And not killing anybody really, like even Gail survived. Like, come on. Like, it's like, it really is the reason why Scream 6 isn't my favorite of the sequels. But my emotional attachment to it, having like a birthday party, everyone kind of drinking and having fun in the theater, that plus the excitement of it, like you felt anyone could die at any moment. The only problem is that like they actually technically at the end of the movie they didn't die. So that's why it's not the greatest. But everything else, the thrills, the scares, Ghostface is man, he was everywhere. I really love that movie.
Do you think that Gail should have died? Because apparently Courtney Cox interfered with the studio, or the studio wanted her to die, but she didn't want to get killed off.
Too bad.
It would have been better with that if she died.
Correct, and she didn't. Dewey basically, it would have made a bigger storyline for Sydney. Basically, like I really should have been in New York to help Gail. So it all would have made sense, even if in the scenario where the Barrera's out and Ortega's out. So everything would have helped. Yeah, I mean when they killed Dewey, because Dewey survived a lot of. So Dewey was a little bit of Chad Meeks actually. So Dewey survives like Scream 1, he gets hit. Scream 2, awesome. It was such an awesome set piece. That's where that's where Scream 2 is so good too. So basically, Scream 2 and Scream 6 are very similar, but it's Dewey just doesn't die. He gets an awesome kill where he's in this sound machine. Sorry, we're talking about Scream 2. Sorry, Dixon. And like he gets killed, and it's like wow. But they bring him back at the end, so Wes Craven and Cameron Williamson, they set that precedent where like, hey, we can just bring him back. So in a way, Scream 6, Chad Meeks is basically the next Dewey in that way. So when they finally do kill him off, it has to be Dewey's Scream 5 style, where it's like, we're going to show you over and over again, double blades and just go crazy with it. That's the only way it's going to happen.
So you
Not
guys
talking about Scream 5 too much, but
who voted
yeah.
Scream 6 low though? Right? At 5 low. You guys did, right? One of you guys did, right? Dixon,
I had
you?
6 in my 6.
As your 6. Okay, that's fine. Yeah. Well, what made you like? What were the negatives you thought about it?
Really, the only thing that was a negative for me was that, honestly, I didn't love that it was in New York. I get why they wanted to like change a pace, but I felt like you kind of lose a little bit from not having it in kind of a suburban setting. Even in the college, like it still kind of felt suburban, like in 2, but not having it in like those scenes where like the opening shot where the character's on the phone, they're walking around the room and they're like, you see windows, you see the corners of the house,
Yeah.
and like you never know like what's going on in the corners. Where it's like New York, it's kind of like, yeah, there's always something going on, but there's not as much of a fear as there is in those empty houses, because there's just people all over the place in the city all the time. So that was the one thing that kind of took it away from me. But I did really enjoy that scene in the deli when he has the shotgun. I thought that scene was awesome. He just comes in, he's just gutting people and shooting, and like he's like slowly creeping around the corner and looking for them. I thought that scene was great. But just having it in New York just kind of took something out of it from me. Again, only having seen these movies most of these movies for the first time pretty fresh. It felt a little too different for me from like a little bit more of a departure from the other ones.
But how many times are you going to do Woodsboro over and over again?
No,
But it's the
I
sixth movie in
get
the
it. You gotta
franchise.
switch
Like
it up.
you want to do
Absolutely.
something different. I'm not saying go to space. Hey, New York City's fun. Jason Takes Manhattan. That was a cool nod. They had that in the beginning. We didn't bring that up yet.
Another great
But
opening.
even
Yeah.
like
The opening's so good.
So I just but I think they did a good job with the alleyway and the opening, or the shotgun, like you said, or even that ladder scene, stuff like that. That was really cool too. Like I think they did enough job where they didn't make it seem like, hey, you everyone's always around in New York City. We're in Manhattan. You're in a tucked away apartment. It could be Woodsboro anyway, and those scenarios, in an apartment.
I feel like I agree a little
Gabe?
bit. The city takes away a little bit from me. I enjoyed the train scene. The subway scene is sick, but I do feel like there's something
Yeah, we didn't
about
even talk about that yet. Huh?
yeah, the subway scene is sick, but I feel like there is something about like Scream taking place in like different rooms of a house. There's something about that, and that like whole vibe. But yeah, I like the New York change up. I didn't really mind too much when I first heard it was going to be in New York. I was a little disappointed, but once I watched the movie, I enjoyed it. I mean, this isn't super high on my list. This is number 5. So it's in like I guess the bottom half, but I still like 6. I just don't like it maybe as much as the other ones.
Or what I figure when I'm ranking these movies, it's not like what I think the general public's favorite. This is what is my favorite movies where I can what do I enjoy the most where I can rewatch them. If it's am I going to go out of my way to put it on, or am I going to watch it if it's on streaming or on TV or something like that?
Right, right.
Do we talk
Andrew,
about
what was
5
your
yet,
number
or no?
6?
We haven't
Your
done 5,
6th
right?
movie. No, these are the only 2 we all had. But what was your number 6? I don't have your number 6. What did you rank 6th, Andrew?
So my number 6 was 5.
Was 5. Okay, your number 6 was 5. Hang on, just checking my notes. We got a 5. We got a 5. All right, now it's okay.
I had
So
5. Yeah,
you, Phil, you had 5 at 5.
at 5.
Okay, so
correct.
now we did 7 and 6. Let's swing back for a second. We were talking. We didn't get Andrew. What was your number 3?
Scream 2.
Scream 2. I think we can now talk about Scream. No. Yep.
Well,
We
I
can
want to
now
hear the
talk
person that
about
put it
Scream
last first.
2. Yeah, Dixon's
Correct. Yeah,
got to
I
go
want to hear
first.
Dixon. Please,
Well, let's
please.
go Dixon, and then we'll go Mergetz.
Okay. When thinking about all of these movies after having seen them all, 2 was the one that in my mind stood out the least of all of them. And I can't particularly put one reason why or roll my finger down on an exact reason why, but I was just kind of like, yeah, there was all these movies have great scenes. This movie is no exception. But I don't know if there was something that I was like, "Oh, that was really cool or really different," or, like, stood out to me. And maybe I also went into it with a relatively high expectation for it being a sequel to the original, which is a classic. And so I was kind of, like, expecting it to keep that same level of, like, classic slasher horror movie, and it didn't do it for me, but I don't know. There's great parts in it, but I just was kind of like, okay. Like, well, as I was going through them, I was like, oh, I like that a little bit better. And it ended up making its way down to the bottom, which apparently is wrong.
Well, it's just
How
not.
much
It's
were you on your
definitely
phone
not
scrolling through when you
common
watched Scream
among
2?
fans
No,
or
I like,
critics on that view. I think it has like the highest Rotten Tomato score of the whole series.
oh my God.
Yeah,
Of
it
course.
does.
Of course.
It does, yeah. Scream 2 probably has the highest Rotten Tomato score, which is
Yeah,
fine.
I got to be
So,
totally honest. Like
so
the only reason why I put, yeah,
well, I was gonna say, so the reason why I have Scream 2 up so high is it's probably the best meta of of the Scream movies. It has a movie within a movie. The opening scene is very unique. The only one really without that phone call type thing that would go on, other than Scream 7, really. And it's like this set piece where you have all the other Ghostface fans in the state in the thing. Um, Really good way to start it, and it's to show, hey, we're gonna be different. The movie within a movie is interesting, but not like how 3 does it, which is just like about Hollywood stars and stuff like that. The the teens that are around are the most probably well-rounded, I feel like, of any of the series, and that the chase sequence is like, no, that car chase from the Dewey like movie, the soundstage and the chase sequence is really really up there. And the Randy kill is like wild. Yeah, at that stage. Because I mean, Randy was that exact opposite what they've done with Chad. And that to kill off Randy in the middle of the movie like that, when he's just talking in the van, is probably the most surprising. I don't even think it's even you can even compare. There's no more surprising death of a character than in Scream 2 with Randy. So Billy's mom is a cool reveal with Mickey. I think the Cotton idea, like bring with Lee Schreiber and Cotton at the end when he's like with telling the mom's almost like, come on, you want to get famous? Like, just kill her and I'll just, we'll just do this, whole thing. And so that kind of struggle at a reveal, the reveal is longer and more intense. Same with the chase sequence. So there's a lot of things for me to like, obviously, with that movie. And it's very meta. They know the rules. They explain in a classroom because they're film study about the rules. And then, the kills are more intense, more kills, more graphic, more violent, and more intensity. So,
I agree that the Randy kill was definitely the most shocking at that point in the movie for sure. And I was like, well, if he was in the first one, he's probably going to make it through this one. So that added to the level of shock and surprise to that. Um, the mom thing, I was kind of like, okay, that's fine. Like, I wasn't like too like, oh my god, that wasn't like an incredible surprise to me, but it was interesting. The other killer, that one I didn't actually say it, but in my mind I'm like, oh, they're making him look like he could be the killer, but like it's almost a little too obvious. And then when he was, I was like, oh, okay, like that made sense. So, but yeah, the Randy kill was pretty
yeah. And
insane.
I agree. Probably the one thing I take away that's a negative on it is I do think the Billy. It's hard because it's just like Scream sometimes feels like it works better when it's the group of kids and one of the kids is the killer. Like, I don't know why, it just seems like the reveals are better that way. And when it's like a neighbor or if it's like this like non group of the kids, or like if it was like a janitor at the school, it just doesn't feel like the same whodunit. So Scream 7, really killing off all the kids. I was like, oh, they're not really dead, or something like that. I thought that was going to happen, but obviously when he was killing all the kids, I was like, oh, these guys are actually dead. I don't know what's going on. We're just going to have a random person, so which will end up being that. So, um, Scream 2 kind of does a little bit of both. I think Billy it still has good motivation, right, and but I think it's a little bit weaker. Not it just something about it just doesn't feels a little weaker when it's a random adult. I don't know. It's weird.
I 100% agree. And to me, the reason why I put Scream 6 ahead of Scream 2 is honestly my personal enjoyment to that. And the reveal, the reveal of Scream 2, the Mrs. Loomis thing bothers me. Um, because you can watch a movie the whole time and not know she's Nancy Loomis. Like you have no zero. You like actually we watched it recently right before this podcast, and you see her in the background a lot more than I remembered when I first my memory watching it. But no, she pretends to be like some reporter, something Salt or Debbie Salt. I forgot what her name was, but she pretends to be this reporter, and then there's the big reveal, and it's like Mickey and everything's going, and you see Gail, and the movie hints that maybe Gail's the other killer. Um, and the movie hits like Gail's the other killer, and then you see it's like Gail, and it's like Mrs. Loomis, and then
Yeah.
Gail goes, Gail, line goes, I seen pictures of you. And she goes, hey, 60 pounds in a makeover do wonders. And it's like, we just allow that. Like, that pisses me off. Like, that's the reason why I put Scream 6 ahead of it. So they're both amazing movies. The car scene chase was insane too. And like, you think that girl, Cindy's friend's going to die when he's going to wake up, but no, he's out of the car, and then he gets like all that stuff's awesome. How he kills her. But that the Mrs. Loomis connection, trying to tie it to the original, bothered me more than Chad or Gail somehow not dying in Scream 6. And
But
that's
the
why I
reveal
ranked
is
them
like
flipping. But I think
interesting.
they're
Like,
both like
there's a lot of like
amazing.
more in the Scream 2 reveal is the most character like ethics and challenges of like, so like even like Mickey when he does reveal itself, because usually it's like, all right, take the mask, this is the reveal, this is the end of like the who done it guessing stuff. But then he, because of the boyfriend in the last one, he's like, well, he goes to Jerry O'Connell, goes, oh, like he did it. He was, I remember I just watched the other day. He's like, he was in on this. He was in on this. So she couldn't trust him, and he shoots him. But like the same thing with the Cotton. Like, is Cotton going to turn bad? These characters were more like you didn't know what side they would be, killer or not, even when they were like revealed to you as something different. So, it's just like a different play to it for sure. So wait, do you have that means you have
You guys wanna
3
talk?
as your second favorite?
We're going up the list, right?
Yeah, let's keep
Yeah.
going.
It's almost
Gabe,
like
anything to add
impossible.
on Scream 2?
Can you guys hear me or no?
I'm gonna mail you a Scream 3 like
Yes.
T-shirt.
Scream 2. Um, yeah, I like it. I just like other movies better than it. Is really what it is. It's not like personal about Scream 2. I have it mid on my list. Probably part nostalgia, but I think just some stuff got a little better. I think Mickey kind of falls into the Stu Macher kind of like role and gets like crazed at the end. And I kind of agree with you. I think Andrew, maybe you said it, that you didn't remember Mrs. Loomis being in it that much, but then she was. And I think I thought it was built up well. But yeah, I like Scream too. What was up with the leather coat in Scream 7? I didn't know they were gonna play that back in, that, Sydney's coat.
Yeah, they were like doing just
Yeah,
nods to like
I guess
the
she
fans,
wore
I
in
guess.
Scream 2. Yeah.
It's like I would say just as fan
It just felt
service.
so
And then the
random. I was
set
like, I feel like I
piece.
should know more about this fucking coat.
Yeah, dude. And the set piece in Scream 7, I guess, was kind of similar to like Sydney in Scream 2 had to play. And I also think it was supposed to symbolize like in Scream 1, where Sydney kind of was the victim and kind of timid, and Scream 2, now she's a fighter. She's fighting back. She's more aggressive in Scream 2, and kind of makes a change. But by the end of Scream 2, now Sydney's the fighter. And I think that jacket, if you talk to like the Kevin Williamson and kind of his thoughts about it, that jacket is supposed to be like Scream 2 version for Tatum. like fighting back by the end of the movie for that arc between mother-daughter. Yeah.
I like that.
All right, well, let's keep
All
going here.
right.
I didn't name my third favorite. So I'll do that because everyone got up to their third. So my third favorite is Scream 4. So we have 1 for 4, 2 for 4. Oh, can't talk about it just yet. So let's go back to Dixon. Dixon, what is your second favorite Scream movie with 4 still to talk about? Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Okay, here we
Make it
go.
crazy.
Let's talk about Scream 3, the bottom of 3 of our lists. We're talking about it second for you, Dixon. Why is it your second favorite Scream movie?
On the same point with that I have with 2 of me just kind of being like, okay, I enjoyed it, but like, there wasn't anything that I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. I felt like that with 3. Like watching it, I was like, oh my God, this is great. Like I think I loved the kills. Some of them didn't make sense, but I still loved them. I thought that this was more meta than 2 because it was taking place on the movie set about the movie in the world of the movie, talking about what happened in the first one, and then some of the chase scenes or the kill scenes were taking place on the set that was built around the house that was based off of the first movie. So I thought it was way more meta. I'm also probably a little impartial to the cameos, Carrie Fisher in particular. Like I thought that was just icing on the cake for a Star Wars fan like myself. Was it the best villain? Kind of, Andrew, to your point of it, could it have been better if it was one of the? I guess it was somebody involved in the movie, but it was a director and is a little older. Could that have been a little bit of a better reveal? Definitely, but I still thought it was a good reveal and he was a good killer. I just felt I enjoyed it the most throughout the whole movie out of all of them. I think there were a lot of parts of the other ones that thought were a little bit better, but overall I enjoyed how meta this one was, and I just enjoyed it the most. And again, coming at this from the first time, haven't seen it only once. That's why I have it so high on my list.
You're directed, Dixon. You direct.
And so did you like the Roman twist?
Yeah. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I didn't see it
How he's
coming,
tied.
but he was definitely not on my list. Like as I was watching it in the first, I don't know, like half hour, he was definitely not on my list of people that I thought could be the killer.
It's the only movie with one killer.
And you like how it was tied in. Yeah. Yeah. You like how it was tied into he was a puppet master pulling the strings in the first 2?
Yeah, I did like
Yeah,
that a
that's
lot
crazy.
actually.
I feel like that's such an
And
unnecessary
again,
retcon with him is to like make him the puppet master. Like he could have still been like the crazed half brother and not like been pulling the strings. I feel like it's a little bit unnecessary to do that.
well, it's
Yeah.
probably
Go over
also them trying
yeah.
to make it like a, a trilogy too, to like tie it into the first 2 movies that way.
Right, right.
Right. It felt forced. It felt forced to do that, but I think that's why they did it, in my opinion. I agree. Yeah. Positives. I guess I'll do some positives too. No one talk. We don't really talk about soundtracks in Scream. Creed opening scene for
Oh my
Yeah.
Kanye.
God, yes.
What if the hit it comes on? So I was actually watching it. I was rocking my daughter to sleep, and I had it on like subtitles, low volume, and so I was like, Creed, what if comes on? I was like, whoa! Now I have to rewatch this scene in volume later, and so that scene where the Cotton's girlfriend gets, it's like so maybe someone else is home with me. That plays, and then in the end, Creed also plays again. At the end of the soundtrack. So there's 2 Creed songs. What If and Is This the End is also in Scream. So that's a little enjoyment for me. I love the opening too. I think the opening is one of my favorites in the whole series. Uh, the voice changer is a little questionable, but it worked, and somehow that opening scene really worked for me. I think the idea, like you really kind of want to root for Cotton. In a way, he's like a legacy character, but not really like as a
Yeah.
group. So you really want to root for him. And then he gets hit in the head with a golf club. It's like, oh no! And like you're helping Ghostface. And like so, I just love all that. Him speeding and driving home. I just Cotton finally became the big star that he always wanted to be before he died, right? He always wanted to be that fame, and he had his own talk show, 100% Cotton, right? So I think all that's awesome. Um, like I said, there was a failed script about Stu Macher coming back from prison, and he would be pulling the strings on other teens making Ghostface murders. But this movie came out along the time of Columbine shooting, and the studio pulled that an idea right away. But that was actually Matthew Lillard was supposed to return. That was the original idea for Scream 3. Some real negatives is you talk about the teens. There's no teens in this movie.
None.
There's actors. So I guess it's supposed to be meta, but like, you talk about rules of screen movies and what you like. Like, I don't. It's like I guess it's kind of funny and meta that like 30-year-old people are playing teens, but like it doesn't really do it for me. The kills didn't really do it for me because of the combine editing. A lot of the kills aren't gory, and I don't love gory kills, but like it's almost like over the top cutting.
At one point, they wanted them to cut out all
Patrick
the blood.
Warburton's you know. Yeah. I mean, the gas blow up. It's like they really. I was like, I didn't really enjoy that kill either. Just a lot of stuff. I just didn't love that. Nev Campbell only had 20 days to shoot. Apparently, the whole movie. So I guess if you like Dewey, Dixon, and Gale, they really gave them a lot more airtime. About Scream 3. But I don't know. It just didn't feel like it just felt like a knockoff kind of like Rush. The rewrites, you felt that like. I feel like I get why people hate Scream 7, but like this is like I don't know. It wasn't like Nev Campbell. Scream 7 was like, hey, Nev Campbell's back. She's a lead now. We got all those fans who wanted her back. She's back. This was just like it felt like forced. Like the Roman thing was like forced. Hey, let's tie this all in because it's a trilogy. It didn't sit well with me.
That's how I felt about
that
the new
puppet
one.
master stuff didn't feel well with me.
The same thing. I felt the ending. I felt the Ghostface were forced. Where in some of pretty much all the other ones, I don't feel like it's forced the same way. But Roman feels a little forced. Although it was kind of fun to see him back as like the deep fake Roman in this one.
Yeah.
Yeah. They even had Dewey back. Yeah. That's amazing.
It's funny how Scream just didn't chop on the de-aging train. Like everyone is just super fucking old in all their cameos.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so I'll share my thoughts on Scream 3 if we're ready.
Go for it.
So I think the great beginning. I actually kind of like the Roman once he's revealed. I think the encounter, getting up and being shot in the chest, and you just keep coming at him. I think is the fun, just shooting the head kind of stuff. I felt it was like the I don't know. I recall it as like, and I watched every one over again in full except for Scream 3 before this movie. It's the least one I rewatch. That's why it's like such a different tier. But I like the opening. I usually watch that a lot. But I find that like the meta that I like is like the commentary more of the time of horror, like horror fans being aware of the horror at the time, make a change. For example, Scream 5, the opening, Jen Ortega talks about like, ask me about the Babadook or It Follows, Hereditary, which is like we're meta these like grief horror movies, and he's like, those aren't real horror movies. And then that movie is, I feel like on purpose, a more violent Ghostface, kind of saying like, this is horror. So like this is, that might be grief horror, but this is like, and so self-aware of the time, or even trying to push the genre into a different type of horror. Same thing when Scream 4 comes out, and I know we're gonna go into that a little bit. It seems to be very referential of like the movies that were at the time, like Saw and your I don't know, that generation, internet just starting, and and there's the horror that comes with that. And Scream 1 and 2 is very much rules of the scary movie. So for me, I just remember Scream 3, maybe like because they're in Hollywood, but the characters were the least interesting, I thought. I just think the girl that's like banging the old Harvey Weinstein guy and stuff of that, and just Jenny McCarthy and stuff of that. I felt like the teen group is like almost gone. We're still with like the people from the first two movies, except like it's like the guy from American Dads, the bodyguard, he blows up at one point, and it's like I think it's actually an actual explosion from like fax machine, if I remember like correct, right? So I just think it was just an odd way that Ghostface was killing. It was just a very like it was like an action movie, and so it didn't feel like parts of it made it feel like it didn't feel like it knew horror. It's a weird kind of whereas like Scream 4 is very much like Kirby is like the new Randy. She's like a hard nerd. They're in the film
Mhm.
club and they're talking about horror movies and like even Scream 7 had that in the beginning. The guy's like, I love horror movies. And this, and that back and forth of a horror movie lover who truly loves it, which is probably a lot of people seeing it, and then they're in the movie trying to survive a horror movie is Scream. And the 5 and 6 do a great job with that. They're like, "Well, now we're in a franchise," or "Now we're in a legacy." Like, and they have these, like, speeches. Scream 3 completely, like, loses that a little bit, and they do a good job. I think they're, again, product of the time that and almost the genre they created. I think Halloween H2O came out around the same time. A lot of remakes were coming out like that, these, like, PG-13 type remakes, and I like the ending. I think if the Scream never made another Scream movie, she's, like, has all these alarms, and I remember she, like, leaves the door open or something like that, like, as if she's, like,
Mhm.
she's now
Yeah.
feels safe. And I think that was cool. I mean, that was a good part of it. And there's no bad Scream movie. I just think, like I said, like, for all those points, I put it the lowest.
I I I I think it's just the worst one. It feels the least like the movie that it should be. And maybe that's because
Yeah.
Williamson didn't write it all and Kruger took over, but it doesn't everything that you guys said, I can't really say more about it, but it has the least feel of the other ones. And maybe it's the actors, like the people, like we said, like that aren't the teens, but the actors just feel so like it almost feels like Friday the 13th. Like he's just like they're just getting cut through the whole movie. So it has the least heart in terms of Scream movies for me. Um, all right. We got three left. Phil, we're on number two. What is your second favorite Scream movie?
Scream 4, hence the Deputy Perkins next to my name.
Ooh.
All right. Andrew, what's your second favorite Scream movie?
Scream 4.
Scream 4. And I had that at number 3, so we could finally talk about Scream 4. Um, we actually all had this pretty high up. I think Dixon, you had it the lowest. You had this 3. No, we all have this high actually. So I'll talk about 4. Um, it wasn't a movie that I saw, like I said before, when it first came out. Um, but I ended up loving it. I think I like it so much just because I think the Jill twist is so good. I literally didn't see it coming at all. And even though like Charlie is kind of like a weaker Ghostface, Rory Culkin, I think that like Emma Roberts does such a good job of being like, just like a true psychopath and like really like enamored with the fame of it all. And I love when she reconstructs her kill, or like her plan and like pulls out the hair and all that. Where you could see Billy and Stu and some of the others kind of like talk about their plan, but she's the only one that like goes through it. And then I like that they go to the hospital at the end. They're like, "Oh, this is the epilogue," or whatever they say. It's supposed to end at the house. So yeah, I love Scream 4, and I think the meta takes are really good in terms of the age of social media. Um, so yeah, I have a lot of fun with it. How do you feel about it, Phil?
Yeah, I mean, totally. I think it's the best. My opinion, it's probably the best meta one since the first one. 2, I can say 2 is very pretty close, but I just think now with today's world, it really aged amazing. There's a vlogger in there who dies, and he's like filming himself, and he dies filming himself. So I like that a lot. Um, there's also there's one of the killer, the Colgan killer, in the haystack has like a camera too, so he's like filming his kills. Um, so I think that technology, like showing social media like that, the whole Jill Roberts thing is, hey, you don't need to be talented. You could be a victim, and you could be an influencer before we even knew the term, I think, influencer. Um, and when I first saw Scream 4, I actually didn't even see it. I didn't see it in theaters, and I should have. Giuseppe and I saw it one night on his laptop. I don't know what website he used, but we watched it
Oh my
on his
God.
laptop, and that was my first experience in theaters because like it basically like it was running out, and I was like, "Ah, man, we can't get a showtime. We missed it." And I'm like, "Hey, you want to just watch it?" And like we found a site and watched it on his laptop in college. Him and I watched it in the dorm. That's how we watched Scream 4. I'm like, "Oh, this is awesome. I really loved it." Then rewatching it like later back in the DVD and like a better quality, I'm like, it is so good. The ending is the best ending. I love
So
the
good.
ending. I love that they finally yeah, the fact that like, I hinted at like Kirby maybe being bad, and maybe the idea of Melissa Barrera if it did make that Dream Scream 7, maybe that could have been fun and something to play with, right? The idea that he actually had, which you thought the whole time was like the next City Prescott, the Tatum that we just saw. She's the bad. She is the next Ghostface. She sets it up for fame. I think it was awesome. I think they had a comedy too that was perfect. I think Anthony Anderson was like a little stupid, but like it was
Tony
a perfect
Perkins.
way for me. ScreamCon has a little, yeah, it was exactly Deputy Perkins. Like it was that perfect comedy for me, where like the latest Scream sequels kind of hint on that, and I think they balance it well. So I enjoyed that too, and you know, I think the kills are great too. I enjoy the kills. The opening actually, it's funny you like the opening. The opening is actually probably one of my least favorites. I think it's, but it also shows like the comedy side of hey, this is gonna be a little funnier Scream 2. So I do kind of respect that. But I mean, if I compare it to some of the other openings, it's not my favorite opening. But honestly, it's hard to nitpick. This is by far my favorite Scream sequel for the meta, for the ending, for the twist reveal. It basically it did what I think is better than 5. Basically, they found a way to kind of bring back Prescott in and with the young cast of teens more naturally. I felt than 5 bringing in Sydney and I felt it wasn't as natural with the Carpenters and Richie and you know that I just felt this a bit more naturally. So that's why I really put this ahead of 5 as well.
I agree with both of you guys on basically every part that you said. I think for me, why I have this one up pretty high is it was actually the most fun for me to watch. Like I enjoyed going through this. Like I had a good time. I had a good time watching all of them, but this one in particular, I remember being like, that was really enjoyable. And I think it kind of plays into, like you said, like there was a lot of good comedy mixed in with good kills and the twist at the end with her being the killer, like and going through what she wanted to do and how she wanted to do it and actually getting to that point. So I just think everything played in perfectly with each other. And so that was kind of why I had it pretty high up on my list too.
Yeah, it's a great movie. I mean, it really is. It's well done. Her throwing herself into the wall and how crazy she
So
is.
good. So good.
She's my favorite killer outside of Billy and Stu. She is so crazy and how wants to be famous, and it's like believable. It's actually like good. It's one of the better acting
Hmm.
jobs of all the Scream, all the characters. Yeah. Hayden Panettiere's fun. She's more fun and more believable as like this film nerd, but like hot girl. And just yeah, there's a lot of parts of it. Gail Weathers is at her best. She's not really that annoying in this one. She plays a really like fun role. Yeah, and I agree with to Phil's point. They Gail and Sydney mix better with this group of teens than um the way that 5 and 6 kinda incorporate them. Yeah, for sure, just being, like, legacy characters or whatever, right? So, it's funny because this movie was, like, really good, but they actually like, Scream 3 would kinda slow down, then they took 10 years, then did Scream 4, and then another 10 years before they did Scream 5, or something around that time frame, but it wasn't like Scream 4 killed at the box office. Scream 7's, I look at 5, 6, and 7 really like this is some big resurgence, but there was a lot of time off between Scream 3 and 4. And it didn't really show up. Horror was different. Horror is really popular right now. It's probably the most reliable thing in the box office outside of Marvel and those kind of things. And pre-existing remakes and sequels. Um, so Great movie. I agree. The opening is probably the weakest part of it. I think it's fun, but like rewatch. I think is the thing. I think it's fun the first time, you a couple times you see it, but the rewatchability on it isn't. It's not like
Mm.
it's not as good because like this is. So I don't. It has the worst rewatchability of any of the openings. So I actually thought it was okay at the time, but the more I watched it, the more I actually go like, I wish I could skip to the main one. I don't know why I feel that way, and I love the movie, but I find it's just like the uh, Kristen Bell and whatever else, Diana Paquin, like it's like it's funny, but like when you know it's happening, it's kind of like it's like almost like a ending of a twist. It's not as much replayability to
The
it. I don't.
shock
I guess
value
that's why
kind
I
of
look at it.
passes.
But yeah. It's the rewatchability of it. It's not as strong as any of the other openings. So I think it's probably the weaker opening as a result. But good Ghostface, not really brutal Ghostface, but like we get a lot of time with the climax and the killer and the motives and how crazy she is and um yeah, I mean, just probably the most enjoyable characters. I don't love the Anthony Anderson and the silliness it does. I'm into like movies and all that, but like when someone's getting stabbed, I had a real problem with It Chapter 2 with this. Like, if I'm supposed to be like in this movie and they're actually dying and they're like saying like catchphrases, like it has to be like Snakes on a Plane then. You know what I mean? And it's not completely goes that way. Some of those moments I always think like Wes Craven, I'm like, why are you deciding this? I don't really understand why he like would do something like that, but it's a good movie.
Yeah, and it kills the box office of Scream 7. I think we were talking about this. I'm not sure before we recorded, but the box office in Scream 7 opening weekend already made more than Scream 4 did the whole time it was in
Yeah, no, I
theaters.
know, yeah. And even with adjusted inflation, it
It's
still didn't
Right,
huge.
right.
Yeah.
crush that movie.
Yeah. We kind of mentioned it already, but since we talked so much about Scream 5, it is my number two. We didn't talk about it, my number two yet. So let's just get into Scream 5 because it's my number two. Dixon, it's your fourth. Andrew, it's your sixth. And Phil, it's your fifth. So, Andrew, you have it the lowest. Why is it number six for you?
Yeah, I'll say a couple positives to it. I think great opening. I love the idea that they're like, yeah, it's great. You guys been watching Grief because this is the return of the franchise. So it's kind of a statement. I know you've been watching horror movies that are grief horror and these other things, but this is no a horror movie soft slasher, and they make it's probably one of the more violent ones of all of them. Because the seven's violent in these memorable ways, but it's goofy violent. Like this is like knife going through a throat, like
Yeah.
stabs are so intensely like in the chest, way more kicking like victims are on the ground and the ghost face is kicking them in the ankle to break their leg. I mean, just a different level. I don't care for like it's interesting. It's a great. It's not my least favorite. It's a tier above 7 and 3. Yeah, for sure. So it's a well-made movie. I think there's a lot of cool shots to it. I like the reveal. I think the story behind the reveal is good. It's a fun ending. Like obviously, the actress won an Oscar. Like
Mhm.
shortly
Yeah,
after that,
Mikey
right?
Madison.
For
Yeah.
Nora. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and
Jack
another
Quaid.
good horror movie you haven't seen. It's kind of horror sci-fi. Yeah, he's been in a lot of stuff. Companion, great. Yeah, so he's been in a lot of good stuff. Quaid recently, so that's fun. That's for that. I think they have enough cast that it kind of makes you kind of guess a little bit, which I like. That it's a brand new cast, but a big cast. Scream 6 has a little problem with that, even though I put it higher. That there's not like that many choices to be the killer. Almost like but. Um, My biggest problem is I don't think it has really good chase sequences at all. In fact, I don't even think there really is a chase sequence outside the beginning. They're in the hospital. She's kind of in the room when the ghost face is there.
Mm.
The Dewey kill, I don't consider that chase sequence. It's a memorable kill. It's really cool. I think the way he talks like it's my honor kind of thing is cool. I mean, it's crazy because the girl is supposedly able to like take him and slit him off the back like that as an adult male. But he had his nerve paralysis. So we all know like one of the funniest things in this series we didn't address is when Dewey runs is crazy in Scream 2.
It's so wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's a little wild
It's so
acting for
good.
the nerve paralysis. They even make fun of it. They're like, why do you run like that with the nerve injury? He's like, they just made it canon. But I think it has almost no chase sequences, and I really like Ghostface back and forth chase sequences. So if you really think about the movie, there's almost like none. And that really stuck out to me because that's one of the things I said is like really the rules of a good Scream movie. So they do a great job with the meta stuff and talking to the group, and it's really funny and tongue in cheek and self aware. But I hit it hard for the lack of the chase sequences. It's and I didn't like Melissa Barrera until 6 that much.
Interesting. So you did the whole Billy's
Yeah.
love child thing didn't play for you?
It was okay, but I think it's like these are new characters. We're hearing this whole story. We're spending a lot of time on this, and then she's like in the like it was just she was really front and center, and I liked it better this for whatever reason the second time around. I just felt like it was so much time on that exposition and not enough time with like Ghostface chases, I think, with that. Yeah, like I said, like there's like it's in the I think she's Ellie in the hospital with them, and they're like somehow no one's seeing them, and I don't know what kind of hospital this is. Literally no security. There's like 2 different attacks,
Ridiculous.
and no one could like be around. No other people are around, so it's kind of wild. Yeah, like this again, it's shot really well. It's not my least favorite. It's I think it's above 7 and 3 in a tier. But it, these are the reasons why I put it.
Yeah, yeah, and Andrew, I agree with a lot of what you're saying. There's a one part, the Mikey Madison, where she's goes to the basement and she's talking to Mindy Meeks, and she's like, "How do you know I'm not the killer?" And she looks awesome. She looks like she has that crazy look in her eyes a little bit. And even when I watched it live, I didn't 100% even guess it was her. And so I really like that. But I'm not a big gore fan, so the Saw and all that stuff I don't love. I don't like the Terrifier series and stuff like that. So it was the goriness of it does it did. I didn't enjoy watching. I gotta be honest. The kill when he killed the West character with that knife through the neck. Yeah, I actually didn't watch. I watched it now a couple of times, and now I'm like kind of almost numb to it. It doesn't bother me. The first time I saw it, it made me feel, like a little nauseous and kind of like, oh man, it looked real.
I gotta tell you,
I'll
you're
be honest.
acting like a pussy right now.
I did. I felt it. Yeah, I felt. And listen, I've seen some crazy stuff, and I was like, yeah, it made me feel sick a little bit. It's I enough a little bit. I've seen enough of these movies. I get it. Like but I don't tend to be a big gore guy. I'm not, and so that I didn't. That kind of made me not enjoy it a little bit.
I feel like
It's
7
different than
was
like
way
Scream
gorier than
7.
that.
Like I'll watch. No, see, but see, here's the difference. I'll
He has
watch
these
a
crazy
comical
rules.
gore scene. No, Andrew knows. I'll watch someone head, but I have no problem watching even in a violent nature. Talking about side chanted a gory kill where this girl gets scared. Like that doesn't like a crazy kill. This hiker girl and she gets stabbed. That doesn't bother me. It's so over the top and ridiculous. It's when it's kind of realistic gore that's what kind of bothers me a little bit. And that kill felt kind of realistic to me. Not a negative, but enough where it's like it showed Ghostface really violent like that. Scream 7, when he gutted McKenna Grace's character hanging, they really didn't show any impaling. It just kind of cut a couple slashes, and then the guts came out. It's like, oh, okay. They didn't really show the full like gutting of the pig slice that Ghostface always says. So again, that was just small nitpicking for me. It was a little slower. It didn't. I just felt like 4 was a better way to go back to Woodsboro than 5, and so that was it was a great movie. I just felt 4 did it better. Maybe it was because I like the kind of comedy of 4 too. I think that part of that Wes Craven kind of put that in there. I enjoyed that more than 5. But not to say I didn't enjoy it. I think the Dewey kill was awesome. I think the Richie reveal was great. The boyfriend again, like of course it had to be the boyfriend, but he almost didn't guess it's the boyfriend because like it's a boyfriend too many times. So like it can't be the boyfriend
Yeah.
again. Like so, I did like that. And the Carpenter sisters, yeah, the opening scene I didn't really love it. I loved it, but like it also set the precedence of like, hey, in the radio silence scream, anybody can survive these knife attacks. How the hell is she's the only one surviving this opening scene? So now we're complaining about Chad and Scream's 6 get all these stabs, but yet the opening scene of his first Scream, he allowed Jenna Ortega to survive that. So and again, that gore didn't bother me either because I guess it was gratuitous in a way. Like that doesn't bother me when it's over the top and things like that. So I don't know. That was kind of weird too. Like how she survived that. So that's the precedence we're setting. To nitpick a little bit, but I mean, it's still an amazing movie. I'm not. I would watch it every now and again for sure. Yeah.
I like the requelness of it, and I think like it really has a good take on like in there's a world where like Star Wars was so popular, like Dewey's essentially Han Solo in this one. Like it follows like the same beats and like Mindy's rules of the requel. I thought were so clever because it was really what was happening at the time. And now it's cooled off, and they do the franchise in six and all that, and that's all great. But yeah, I thought it felt very fresh. How like Scream One felt fresh at the time. And we talk a lot about four. I felt like four has had this like resurgence, and like now people like it more. And it wasn't popular at the time where it only made whatever 90 million. Um, but like five, it's weird because five and four kind of serve the same purpose, even though they came out 10 years apart. Um, but yeah, I like them both, and I like that they go back to Stu's house. That's fun. I just have a good time with that. Dixon, how did you feel about five after
The
kind of binging them all for the first time?
liked 5. The only 2 things that I would say about the movie is that when Dewey was killed, I was like, "He's the killer," because there's no way that he's not making it out of this. I was like, if he's gonna go down, he's gonna go down as the killer. Like they're not just gonna kill him. That was what was going on in my head when he was like, it was an honor. I was like, they're making this a little too dramatic and making it seem like it's final. That there's no way that they're not bringing him back at the end. And then I was trying to figure out what would be his motivation
You're
for being
describing
the
what's so
killer.
fun about these movies, right? Because yeah, the whole like who done it is like a huge advantage to these movies. That's why they could really make these movies forever, as long as they're still keep being like somewhat reasonable whodunits.
Well, so then here's
And
another part to that too. Is so at the end of the movie, he dies, and I'm like, oh, they didn't bring him back, and I was like very surprised at that. And then I was on. I think I was looking. I think I was trying to figure out what the order of the next few movies I was supposed to watch was, or I was looking at something on IMDb, and I saw the cast list for Scream 7, and the
It's just
actor was
Woozier.
listed because of the AI scene, and I was like, oh, he's gonna come back as the killer. And then when I saw him in the AI scene, I was like, oh god damn it, they're not bringing him back again.
He
Like
was
I
interesting.
was
He
just
was
like,
in
come
there.
on.
It was all killers. Then randomly just do. He's like,
yeah.
It's so funny.
Yeah,
you
that,
let me
Also,
die, but it's crazy.
did you guys hear this? So he did an interview. David Arquette did an interview recently, and they asked him, "Hey, did you ever want to be killer?" And he's like, apparently he tried to pitch to Wes Craven that he wanted to be one of the killers in Scream 3. Because no one knew who the killers were yet, and it was a bunch of rewrites. He's like, I'll do it. And Wes Craven's like, absolutely not. Dewey cannot be a killer.
all right. Well, if
Yeah,
I
yeah,
would have known that.
yeah. I mean, I just saw an interview recently of him doing it.
I
Yeah,
love Dewey's
for
theme
Scream
too,
7.
like the down,
Yeah.
down. So good.
Yeah, it's crazy music.
It's amazing. He's an amazing character. Yeah, yeah. We'll see. Hopefully, the Meeks build into that. We shall see. I think they basically have plot armor now for a while, where they're going to build fan favorites over time for next generation. Because you can't keep having Gail and Nev do it forever. So we'll see what happens.
Well, yeah, we'll talk about future. It's getting late, so let's get through this. Let's do. We know what our number one is because no one else
I
mentioned
gotta
it.
pee. I gotta pee so bad.
Let's do the OG, and then we'll just do final thoughts quick. This is probably like a 3-hour episode. So thanks to the viewers for bearing with us, and we'll get through all those tech issues we had, all that fun. But yeah, let's talk about Scream One. Andrew, quickly.
And just giving away
Yeah.
props if you made it through the end of the episode.
Yeah, so it's the original. It's the one that started it all. I used to hate what it did to the genre after Scream came out. We were at a different time in filming. We're much more in like the best time period of horror that I've ever had in my life, where we have like monster movies and slashers and demonic and exorcist type movies and ghost stories and um, all in between, real life horror, kind of thing. So um, it it made every movie after it want to try to copy it. In fact, there's movies like I Know What You Did Last Summer and Kevin Williamson also wrote, and that are good, and then some that are just like it started a copycat kind of thing. And the horror genre was actually, I thought, outside of the Scream movies was like awful for 10 years after it. Um, and I think it's just because it was so good. It really took Wes Craven to another level, reinvented himself and reinvented his career. The Drew Barrymore scene, that beginning scene, not even a horror movie, is one of the best beginnings of any movie ever. Like really, I mean, just to
Yeah.
start, like it's just like at a different generation where we're more slow burn, like that opening, killing Drew Barrymore, and the way it's shot, and the phone call, and the whole thing, and like there's no other really movie you can compare that's like it. It's so iconic. Um, you know, the, the two killers are awesome. They're great. You know, at that time when you see it, you don't know that. Maybe you guys did because it's a different generation, but you didn't know there's going to be two killers. So it's really
It's so surprising. It's
different. You
shocking.
really like what's going on here. Yeah, it's crazy, and it's really good. Randy and the whole everyone's a suspect, and there's so many classic lines here. I mean, literally, it's on the Mount Rushmore of slashers and horror movies of the genre. It's hard. There's not much critique of this movie. I mean, really, the there's not like a character that you like. I like that whole like the whole like. I watched it the other night. Literally the last 30 to 45 minutes of the movie is just one long like tense scene. Like
Yeah.
from the as soon as the Stu Macher's party starts, it like is never boring, even for a moment. It doesn't really cut away from any action. It is like okay, the killer's here, and like to the car chase when he's coming through the trunk, to the delay on the video camera, to the rule of be right, to the kill in the garage, to the reveal, and then I mean, they make fun of it because it's so like iconic now. Like in the other movies, there's been I forget which ones. I think almost two of them do it, where somebody like screams like, "Oh, I need help," and then they have Randy and Matthew Lillard come at the same time, and they go like, "Oh, this is fake," but in the beginning, you don't know who the killer still is, right? So you don't know is it Matthew Lillard, is it Randy? Because they're both coming out of like the woods at the same time, like help, help, he's crazy, he stabbed me. That's the best of Scream. Like when it's like when
Yeah.
you realize the audience, like So I mean, it's a 10 out of 10 movie, really.
I wanted to say something too about the opening scene with Drew Barrymore. They from some research that I did, they kind of marketed the movie and marketed her as like the star of the movie, and then they kill her off in the first 10 minutes, which is insane. And like
Mhm.
to have like, because I think she was pretty big at that time too, and to kind of basically say like, oh yeah, she's not in this movie at all. That's something else. Like we were talking about trailers before, and how trailers can kind of ruin the movie because they show you some scenes that end up being the best scenes in the movie. Like they completely put her out there. She was on posters. She was like it was her name on the marquee, and then they take her out in the first 10 minutes. That had to have been, there were probably some people that went because she was supposedly going to be the main character and ended up
Right.
being killed off right from the get-go. So I thought that was, again, to Andrew's point, an amazing way to start off this movie. And yeah, for me, it was just iconic. There's no other way to describe it. This is just an iconic movie, and it's a classic that, like Andrew was again saying before with the mask, anybody sees that mask and recognizes it and knows what it is. And not many movies have images like that is just known across the world, because it was such a great movie. So yeah, really can't say anything else about it.
Phil, Scream one.
Scream One, incredible movie. The rewatchability value, like I feel like it's one of those movies. Why is number one? Besides the fact that all the reasons listed by you guys is you can rewatch it and catch different things different times. So many of the sequels you rewatch it and it's like, oh, let me watch it, see what this person says. I know they're the killer. I feel like you pick up so many different scenes. They're in the water fountain, the famous water fountain shot in the beginning, right where Stu's talking to Tatum, his girlfriend, and it's like it it could be a woman, like it can't be a woman, and like it just like it's kind of giving away a little bit, and like Billy gives him a look, like yo, you're giving it away, kind of thing, or there's another and just like the scene with the both coming out, like Sydney closes the door on both of them, with Jamie coming
Mhm.
out and Stu is awesome, or the scene where um Billy gives Stu a look that like, hey, Tatum's dead in the garage. Kind of when he comes out the door, it kind of gives him like a look. If you rewatch it, it's incredible. Um, or when Jamie tries to talk to Stu, and Stu kind of like gives the piece and kind of walks past him. Um, and apparently there was like it was cut, but it was, or in the script there was more of that where Jamie and really presses on him, like, where were you with Tatum or things like Tatum, and really presses on Stu more. But they cut that out. They cut that out of the script. But if you read more of the original screen script, there was Jamie, I guess, was supposed to be really good friends with Stu too. Um, and they kept part of that in where you see him, Jamie Kennedy on the couch, and you see Stu Macher's character, trying to over Randy Meeks, like trying to kill him and then stop. And I guess it's kind of like they're friends a little bit too, a little bit. And I guess it makes sense why he didn't die in the first one. So if you read into what the original script was in that scene, it gets a little more connection to it. But yeah, the reveal is amazing. The line, movies don't make psychos; they make psychos more creative. It's incredible. Um, and then even like Nev Campbell, like, not in my movie. Like it's such a good one liner that I love. It's a Resident Evil fan. I love when I don't know if you guys are big Resident Evil fans, but I love when Jill Valentine was like, "I'll show you stars" to Nemesis. It was like kind of the same idea to me. So I love that line at the end of the movie. Yeah, it's just awesome. And I love Freddy Krueger, Nightmare on Elm Street. So I'm so happy that it gave Wes Craven another franchise that's like, oh, now he's with the big boys. It's like Mount Rushmore of horror directors. Now he's up there now. Then he has two great franchises that, how many guys wish they had one? Wes Craven had two. And Kevin Williamson, of course, it makes him a legend now forever. Even though some of other stuff are questionable, but shout out to The Faculty. I think that movie's awesome
Oh,
as
I
well.
love The Faculty.
We all know the
That's so good, dude.
we all know the Easter egg, the Wes Craven Easter egg, right? The janitor.
Yeah, the Freddy Krueger, sure.
Yeah.
Yes,
And Scream 2, there's
course,
the sweater in the dorm too as well.
Oh,
In the
really?
fraternity, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
Yeah. And then in Scream 6 on the subway, there's a Freddy Krueger mask.
Yeah,
One of
they have all
horror
the
icon
Yes,
masks.
that's right. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I don't really have much to say about Scream 1. It's the best. I don't have any more that I could say than you guys already didn't say. But Billy and Stu, love it. Everything about it is so iconic. And there's a reason why every movie, even though they do it meta, they still play off number one in every possible way. So, it's hard to make yourself part of the canon of Michael and Freddie and still do it well. So yeah, love Scream, or as it was originally supposed to be called, Scary Movie. All right. I think we're ready
Yeah.
to get to our final thoughts here. If you guys are in a good place, everyone cool. Anything else we want to say?
Yes, Dixon definitely was. He definitely was on his phone during Scream 2 and scrolling on his
I
phone.
was
I want to say that
not.
again.
I was not. I watched them equally as I was on my phone just as much in all instances of all of these movies.
This is really fun. I haven't been able to talk movies with anyone in a while like this. Definitely a deep dive in props, and it's a great franchise. It's I don't have the same, like, I think I was a little bit almost older that by the time, like, 3 and 4 came out, I was like in high school. 4 came out, I think I was in high school. Um, at least, if not older than that. But so I didn't have like
No, you got to
the
be older.
Jason, Michael, and Freddie are like always at a different tier. They were already iconic at that point. So Scream kind of came in, and they really has um become like one of the most iconic things in horror. So you really impressive that they were able to reinvent themselves with a whole new set of characters, make a new movie, still bring in $60 million in opening weekend in this day and age post pandemic. So it's a great franchise, deserves a lot of recognition. Yeah, can't really add anything more than we already did to it on that aspect.
Billy, you got anything?
Yep. Scream is my favorite horror franchise. He's one of Ghostface, one of my favorite icons, and I'm excited what they do with Scream 8 because I'll be there no matter what. One thing I always say, that has never made. And I said it earlier, they never made a bad Scream movie, and I don't know if they ever will. Um, and even some of the Jasons and the Freddys and Michaels, like they made some bad movies, but it's always awesome seeing your favorite icons back on the big screen again. So I'm excited for Scream 8 and beyond. We'll see what they come up with, but I'm definitely excited to see what they're going to do with that Tatum and Sydney storyline moving forward.
I will say that I was pleasantly surprised going into these movies and watching them. Not that I didn't have high expectations, but my expectations were exceeded after having seen all of them. Um, I definitely would consider myself a fan of the franchise, and I'm very much looking forward to more movies. And I hope they put out a bunch more. Um, and yeah, like I said, I'm not the biggest horror or slasher fan, but this franchise has definitely changed my perspective on it for the better. And I enjoyed watching all of these, and they're definitely going to be on my rewatch list going forward for sure. Yeah, I was very, very happy watching these movies, and I'm glad we got to talk to two Scream experts on this episode.
Happy to be here. Love
We had
it.
a lot,
Yeah,
lot of fun. Had a lot of fun. And like I said, with Scream 5, I know you guys like Scream 5 a little more than we did, but hey, the toxicity of fandom, Scream fans are crazy. So that is something meta that still holds up today for sure.
absolutely, absolutely. All right, well, that is our ranking episode of the Scream franchise to date. We made it to Scream 7. Hopefully, we'll have Scream 8 and many, many more going forward. But I just want to give a big shout out and thank you to Andrew and Phil for joining us today and working through our technical difficulties. Appreciate you guys for coming on and sharing your love and appreciation for this franchise. And we will definitely have you on. Probably around October for some more horror movies. So thank you guys so much for joining us today.
Peace. Sounds good. We loved it.
Let's get out of here.
Love you
Thank
guys.
you for staying. Those few persons stayed to the end. God bless you.
Thanks.
Peace.